We've only got one shot. We've got one shot, one shot. Do you feel alive? We've got one shot, one shot. We've got one shot, one shot. Do you feel alive? Get in, get out. You know that we won't back down to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot. We've only got one shot. Oh, we gotta do it right to feel alive. Waiting for the chance to show the world who we are. We've only got one shot.
Claude Monet, Pablo Picasso, Bob Ross. All pale in comparison to the artistry we have seen this season. A championship crusade that sees 3 drivers separated by just 7 points going into this week, with many fierce foes waiting in the wings. And who knows, maybe some more surprises are in store tonight. Welcome to the EA Creator Series. We head to Las Vegas, considered the brightest spot on planet Earth, but we will find out who really stands out from the crowd on the racetrack. My name is Carl Paranik. I'll be guiding you through the course of the action off the racetrack today. But of course, this presenting stuff, it's not complete without the canvas of commentary to colour the mood. So I bring in our 2 wonderful commentators for today. It is Tom Knight and Tom Wilkinson. Tom Knight, starting with you. Firstly, welcome both. How are you doing, sir? And you excited for Vegas?
Firstly, I'm doing very, very well. Secondly, I'm very much looking forward to Vegas. It's one of those circuits that seems to produce action, whether that's good racing or crashes into the barrier. That's yet to be determined. But either way, it puts on a good show.
Absolutely does. Complete chaos is what you can probably expect from Las Vegas. And, well, Tom Wilkinson, we've got, like I say, 3 drivers within 7 points right at the very top. They are all here this week. All in, well, varying circumstances in terms of machinery and whatnot, but perhaps in this case, Vegas is just a little bit gentler on them in terms of the machinery they deal with today.
100%, and there's so many other external factors that we're going to be talking about, because the 3 of them, they've got decent records around this circuit, but by no means are they the best at this Las Vegas track. We've got Kareem 70 raced twice at Vegas, 2 pole positions, 2 race wins. That's going to be very, very hard, and if they're not winning the race, they're just going to be congested into this very, very tight midfield pack.
Absolutely. Like you say, Kareem 70, 2 wins. We've also got Meraki with 2 wins, Alex Gillen with 2 wins, and one Tom 97, who is racing today, also with a singular win. Only one of the top 3 in the championship hasn't won here at Las Vegas, at least not until maybe today, and that's Tiamat Marduk. And does that ever play on the driver's mind, do you think, the fact that they haven't seen that overall success at Vegas? Of course, Ben did come pretty close last season to getting a win on the board, but just to get on that top step today would be, particularly into last round, such a confidence boost.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think Vegas for Ben is a bit of a double-edged sword because, as you said, it's a track that not only has he not won at before, but actually it's the track, if you can cast your mind back to season 10, it's the track where he couldn't keep up with that 100% win record in every season. So it's going to be this black spot on the record. It's going to be this nemesis track that he can't seem to get a hold of in seasons gone by. And to come here again in season 11, yes, he's maybe going to have a bit more confidence heading in. He's in that championship fight, but it's always going to be that bit of a struggle to get a hold of. And especially maybe if we see some tricky conditions there today.
Absolutely. Let's not forget as well, season 9, cast our minds even further back. That was the championship decider between him and Kareem. Out of the sprint race, effectively cost the championship for himself with contact with Razin. So, like you say, double-edged sword for the Australian sensation. But let's move away from negativity. I like to be an optimism overlord. So, we have a couple of reserves, actually a few reserves today. First of all, Tom 97 has returned into the Haas. We've also got Lenz the Goat, who's in the McLaren. We've got Yorit is in the Mercedes. And someone from Commentary Corner. Jessica Ball is in the Red Bull today, Tom Wilkinson. And it's a decent lineup today. How do you see this one potentially playing out?
Stars that are going to be all over the place. I think Jess, if you remember back to F2 when we ran that, she was a frequent made frequent appearances in the F2 series. Did a decent job as well. Jorrit van Geffen is a Monaco master, if you exclude this season. Monaco specialist. Elsewhere, his record's not great, so I'm going to be interested to see how Jorrit manages to do it. Tom 97, you can never discount him. He may be known as Bottle Job 97 in the Creator Series community, but like you said, does have a win here previously in season number 4. His next appearance, though, in season 7, wasn't particularly good, considering he's probably the fastest driver. Qualified 8th, finished 7th.
Well, rip the form book up when we come to Las Vegas, ladies and gentlemen. But let's have a look at the overall story of the season as a whole. The championship standings. We, of course, have those 3 right at the top. 7 points between them. Here they are. We've got Tom Wilkinson just below me. How about that? 7 points between the top 3. 2 of those in the Sauber. Razin today not racing. Won the previous race at the Japanese Grand Prix. And I was going to sing his praise. I will still sing his praises. Despite missing a couple of rounds, he's been ruthlessly consistent, hasn't he?
100%. It's disappointing that we don't have Razin. He had that little bit of a dip mid-season, which is why, if he was here this week, he would probably have been hoping to be in slightly closer order. But yeah, 3 former champions in the top 3, 4 former champions technically in the top 4 if we are including Razin. We have to watch out for the 2 Racing Bull drivers this week, though. Dak Gavins has been incredibly consistent. He's probably been the king of consistency so far this season. Lodenoba's been very up and down, got a couple of wins to his name, a couple of absolute shockers to his name as well. Wasn't brilliant last time we visited Vegas as well. Was in the lead fight early on, then absolutely bottled it out of the final chicane, throwing it into the barriers. So that's going to be interesting. They can maybe squeak themselves into contention if 2 or 3 of the top guys have a bit of a hooner.
Couldn't agree more with you. Well. I've got news for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to get on with the action. It's time to get into the thick of it. A cutthroat championship crusade. It's the penultimate round. And where better to start than qualifying? The battle for pole position. I bring in our commentary team. It's Tom and Tom.
Thank you, Carl. And well, look, the rain has certainly started to fall already here in Las Vegas because our drivers are going to be, well, rather damp as they step into those cockpits and on towards the boulevard to get their laps underway. Tom, we see some drivers already opting for the full wet tyres. You can see the likes of Safso, down to Datko, Vince, Formula Kite, all of them opting for the full wet tyres, and some of them even trying to maybe still stick to that Inter's pole lap.
100%. It's fairly similar to what we saw in the early hours of this morning. The difference there was the wet tyres were definitely the compound you wanted to be on, especially in Q1 and Q2. The first time for a while we've really seen the rain be so heavy that even the intermediate tyres can't quite deal with the water being thrown onto the circuit. On the F1 game, you really want to avoid those wet compound tyres as much as possible. But you can see there from Kareem 17, definitely feeling that it is the full wet tyres. And I have to say, absolutely bucketing it down as we go through turn 1 with the McLaren of Ches.
It absolutely is. Drivers on the intermediates, I think, will come to the betterment because we are expecting light rain to head in the next couple of moments. So it is meant to ease off, but it's not meant to completely stop over the course of this 18-minute qualifying session. So it will be an interesting balance of probabilities here. Do you go for that Inter's pole, hoping that the weather will somewhat subdue to the levels in which the intermediate tyres are more likely to run, or do you stick with those full wet tyres in the hopes and prayers that you are able to try and hold on in the most part to see this race through? The question will be on the tip of everybody's tongues. We have got only, what's that, 2.5 minutes until that Inter's pole starts to drift off the table.
100%. The Safso, you can already see the power of the wet compound tyres. Half a second quicker than Ches, half a second quicker than Jorrit van Geffen through the first sector as well. The only difference is Lodenoba, who's out there on the Inters, that's managed to match the Season 1 champion through sector 1. But yeah, very, very treacherous as Ches clouting the curve there through 12 and almost ending up having a bit of a nibble out of that barrier that protrudes out almost onto the racing track.
You're absolutely right. The question as well, I think, for field drivers, normally if you're running for the Inters, you may get 1 or 2 tries at trying to chase down that Inter's pole map, because obviously you have a dry circuit, you can be hitting the 1 minute 30s, 1 minute 40s, but actually because the track's so wet at the moment, they won't have another opportunity to go for that run. Safso being the only driver at the moment to put a time down on our board as a 1:47.184. That was in a full wet set of tyres. Just to keep you updated back at home, but watching on board with Chesnoy Gaming, who comes across the line, or will do, as the first of the intermediate runners, setting a 1:48.4. So showing that the full wets at the moment are certainly the tyre that our drivers do want to be on. but that all-important bonus point could be coming the way of someone unexpected as that guy Vince comes across the line. Lolly Nova, though, blowing the Inters out of the water, 1:46.658 for the native Italian, who goes fastest at the moment with just over a minute to spare for these Inters runs.
In a good position at the moment, but Kareem 70 had aced the first sector. We've had the Red Bull of Chappers go slightly quicker by 1/10 of a second, but Kareem 70 is about a second up on the benchmark Lolonova is set at the moment and should, with 45 to go in the intermediate pole race, smash it out of the park. Tim McMurdoch with a 47 flat as Sapso leaves the session. Not good news for him, it has to be said. Still holding P3 at the moment in the Williams car. We do wait for Kareem 70 to use in the final sector as things stand. Here is the Alpine car. Well, the other Alpine, there's Kareem 70, and not a particularly good final sector, it has to be said. Lost 6/10 to Tim McMurdoch and Lolonova, but still fastest.
Well, you say fastest, but taken away by 5 hundredths of a second between himself and Gillen, who now goes fastest, a 46.424 with 12 seconds left on an Inter's pole run. We said the weather's going to slightly lessen up as we get towards that sort of element. Meraki now takes it away. 6/10 clear as the other kicks out right at the top of the order. 1 second to go, and that's Meraki and quite possibly a last chance hurrah, who claims Inter's pole position here in Vegas.
Takes a single solitary step away from Alex Gillen and from Tim McMurdoch in the championship race, which is going to be crucial. Chapper's not going to get it, but that is going to be a bitter pill to swallow because he's about 15 seconds too late and has taken what would have been intermediate pole away from the Season 4 champion. But that does just show the pace that Chappers has got in his back pocket in that Red Bull Racing car, which should be strong around this configuration of circuit. Has been decent in qualifying. Remember back to the first race in Baku, Chappers took pole position.
He absolutely did. Was in a Red Bull car, I believe, to start the season, and now back in his old trusty steed to see his way through under the lights as we have some beautiful illuminations here along the Las Vegas Boulevard, and we ride on board with Chappers as he makes his way through past the Las Vegas Sphere in towards the tight little chicane aspect of that run. Gets it nice and neatly tucked in, and so far we'll be looking to make what improvements they can do, because traditionally drivers would now head in for their sort of slick tyre runs essentially to see the session through, but of course they can afford to fuel up, go long on a set of intermediates and see this race, or see the qualifying session now on pretty much one set of tyres.
100%. Just try and get into a bit of a rhythm, because this can be a tricky circuit if you don't have the flow. There are some really awkward corners, aren't there? In particular in that middle set, you have to be so precise to just thread the needle through the curbs that are very uncompromising, I think is the best way to put it. Adam Sanderson's still out there on the wet compound tyres. I would say, looking at the conditions, the rain has definitely subsided somewhat on the blue stripe wet tyres. Probably not the ideal compound, especially considering the top 12 cars, the top 12 times have been set on the intermediates.
Absolutely right. Meraki comes across the team radio 6/10, times that perfectly as well. Well, he certainly did, managing to take Inter's pole position by the barest, well, not even by the barest of margins, but a perfectly timed run as the weather was starting to subdue. I have actually just been told the rain is expected to stop in 9 minutes, so it could be right on the cusp here if anyone's managing to time their lap to perfection. And traditionally our telemetry is normally a couple of minutes behind. Sanderson goes fastest on a set of the full wet tyres, immediately taken away by Jesnoid Gaming here. So lap times are certainly starting to improve. Joran van Geffen as well puts his Mercedes into second place, and that's not something I think we were expecting oh so soon, but the full wet tyres certainly having some longevity here, Tom.
Surprising that. Matt 2 on 2 flying as well in the Scarlet Ferrari car. Here comes Infratic on a warm-up lap, ready to go again. 1.5 seconds down on his personal best. Infratic hasn't got a particularly good record at this circuit. Has got a best start of 3rd and a best finish of 5th. But outside of that, in 3 attempts, hasn't started or finished higher than 12th. So he needs to try and rewrite the form book, really, for our Portuguese star. Chestnut Gaming in the middle sector was provisionally on pole, but there is Matt 2 on 2. Absolutely blitzing it in that Ferrari car. He's over 2 seconds quicker than the rest of the field.
Keep an eye on Concept 7 though. The other Ferrari is absolutely prancing through the first sector. Purple he was, but that's been taken now by Infratic to the 30.7 in the first sector compared to the 31 flat of Concept 7. The full wet tyres seeming to, as we said, to still have some life in them, but losing that 3 tenths in the first sector as Jess Ball now takes the purple first sector in that Red Bull. So their times are really rapidly changing up and down, left and right. So we watch on board here with Concept 7 as he runs down the Las Vegas Boulevard towards turns 14, 15 and 16. And we don't know much about concept number 7, but apparently the first 6 concepts weren't quite good enough.
Oh, and that was a little bit messy as well. Just took a little bit too much curb than he would have been desiring. He's sticking to this wet tyre run as things stand. Should try and get this banker lap in with so many of the big names either in the pit lane or on an out lap as things stand. We're going to round the final corner. Not quite flat, you would imagine, up into P3, but still nearly a second down on map 2 on 2. Top 3, Ferrari, Aston Martin, Ferrari. In recent weeks, if you remember, we've had quite a few mixed up grids. A lot of the big names have found themselves down the order. Alex Gillen, notably last week, knocked out in Q2, started only 15th. And that's been the trend for a lot of the big names. So we could see another very jumbled up grid.
Absolutely. Fabio now goes fastest as his Aston Martin crosses the line, a 1:42.154 for the team based in Silverstone, making it a 1 and 3 compared to Ferrari's 2 and 4. As things stand, yellow flags thrown in third and final sector. That's going to be one of the Ferraris going slightly slowly in towards that treacherous chicane of 14, 15, 16 that we saw slightly earlier on. Safso, our Season 1 champion, now goes second fastest, just a couple of tenths off the back of Fabio, who comes over the team radio saying stop the count, red flag the session. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see any red flags here today.
Would be unlikely. Seeing people asking why we've only got 19 rather than 20. We were supposed to have Lenz the GOAT in this qualifying session. It's also touch and go whether he's going to make it for the race as well. So just stay tuned on that one. We're not sure of the whereabouts yet of Lenz the GOAT. If he doesn't make it, I think it will just be 19 for the remainder of the evening.
Absolutely right. And we have seen people asking in chat, why isn't Ben streaming? I wish I had a magic ball to tell me. Unfortunately, whatever is happening back at Ben's house is not something that we are aware of, as he does manage to get back in, and we are being told some internet problems slightly in the background, and we are expecting 20 drivers, hopefully, as you said, at some point today. That guy Vince going second fastest now, again, just a tenth and a half off the back of that Aston Martin, but the heights are looking slightly more and more unreachable as the top 5 now separated by just under 1 second between them. So the times are starting to close up as was to be expected. But everybody else here in Vegas, I think the rain is starting to definitely lesser, because you can see the raindrops no longer having as much of an impact on our producer's frame rate as usual.
Just spitting at this stage with 6 minutes to go. 2/3 of the way through qualifying. If you look at the main championship protagonists, the two Saubers are out there, but 13th and 14th as things stand, and Tim Malik has had a litany of issues so far, only just rejoined the session. 18th for the lead Haskar. We've seen nothing yet of Tom 97 either, so clearly waiting right until the last gasp to try and take everybody on with a bit of a buzzer beater right at the end of the session.
Absolutely. I think the session is going to be about who can get that final lap in. The rain's expected to stop about a minute and a half before the end of this session. That checkered flag does fly. We ride on board with Chappers as he runs down Harmon Avenue, down towards the final corner of turn 17 and across the timing beat. Gillen goes fastest, immediately taken away by Chappers, who's over a second quicker than the Kick Sam on this occasion. The track definitely starting to ramp up. That Red Bull, with the extra straight line speed that the car affords, it is starting to be the one I think we are going to have to keep our eye on. We watch Meraki, our Inters pole sitter here at Vegas, looking to try and make amends for a performance that has dropped him down to 17th at the moment. That's how quickly this track is starting to ramp up. Our drivers are getting a little bit caught out by it. He goes across the line to go 7 tenths clear off the back of Chappers.
Important point we need to make. We saw this at Brazil a few weeks ago. In the wet, the disparity in car performance on realistic cars does make quite a big difference. That's why we're seeing Alex Gillen 1.1 seconds off the back of Chappers, when Gillen is usually one of the better drivers in the rain. Formula Kai saying they're starting to just feel like there's a little bit more grip in Sector 2 specifically. We're seeing purple sectors thrown all over the place. Meraki might be 6 tenths off Chappers' time, but he was fastest in the final sector, maybe just giving us a bit of an inkling as the setups that certain drivers are running. Meraki might be running slightly lower wings if he believes the race is going to be dry.
I don't mean to interrupt you here, Tom, but we were riding on board with Chesnoy there, just heading through past the sphere, and it didn't look like the traditional yellow fellow that we have come to expect here. It didn't. I don't know if we managed to catch up the broadcast at all. We might have to try and get a look in with Formula Kai as he makes his way down towards it now, but it certainly isn't the friendly, smiley face that we're typically expecting to see here in Vegas. Look on the right-hand side. Now, he'll be blocked there, and the thing is, it's blocked by trees miraculously. Let's have a little look, see.
Is it an angry Gareth Allen?
That's Alex Gillen! Well, who's he paid to get on the Las Vegas sphere then? What's going on here?
Some great advertisement for his hairline and his moustache and his beard there. Nice little close-up of the facial hair that Alex Gillen's currently rocking.
I'll tell you what, I'm sure our drivers will be loving Alex Gillen looking over and expecting their laps. I do hope that features on Clipbook later in the week, but we're right on board with all of our drivers. Just over 3 minutes to go in our qualifying session, with Adam Sanson making his way down towards turn 14, which is looking notably drier than it was earlier in the session, and I think the rain has absolutely stopped. So we now await the first of the drivers to opt for the slick tyres. I can tell you that Jorrit van Heffen, who's sat in pit road at the moment, has opted for the soft tyres. We'll keep an eye on Adam Sanson crossing the line, going 7th fastest, making a 3.5-second improvement. But Van Heffen at the moment, the only driver opting for slicks. It may have stopped raining, but I guarantee that track surface is far from being optimal.
Looks decidedly clear at this stage, and this is where the drivers that are still out there on the Inters, well, they've made their beds. They're going to have to line it come the end, and Formula Kai deciding very, very late there that he's going to dive in to try and put the slick tyres on. Only got about 30 seconds in hand, and with himself down in P16, putting himself under enormous pressure. Alex Gillen, reigning champion, has gone purple in the first 2 sectors, just starting to find the feel for that Kick Sauber car, rounding the final few corners now, foot flat to the floor, you would imagine, from now until he cuts the beam. Haven't seen Gillen topping the timing charts so far this session, but the number 77 ran in the final corner, and number 77, Alex Gillen, 140 flat, and with just under 2 minutes to go, the reigning champion is currently leading the pole charge.
Here we go then. Let's see how this pays off. The gauntlet has been laid down. We're being told Scotty Designs is entering into the session. However, they have got a mystery driver racing in their place. We'll get confirmation of that slightly shortly. Adam Sanson either retiring. Was that on the circuit? I'm trying to keep an eye. Was the Williams in pit lane? No, it looks like as they're heading along the Las Vegas Boulevard, there's a Williams going rather slowly, so not quite sure what's happened there. Concept 7 crosses the beam, beats off the time by Alex Gillen, goes for a 1:39.808, so 2 tenths quicker, and DRS has been enabled here with just over 1 minute remaining. Drivers that can finish their lap last here, I think, will have the ultimate advantage to see this lap through.
And look at that, a litany of drivers, especially the ones down the bottom on the soft tyres, along with Chappers and Meraki. Formula Kai, it's going to be a race against time for him to try and get his skates on and get round in time. Matt 212 still out there on the Inters. I believe Tom 97 will be starting from the back, still in the pits on the wet compound tyre with 45 seconds to go. Big opportunity here for somebody to try and steal a march on their rivals, whether it's the intermediate tyres that are better or the drivers that have taken a gamble on the soft.
You're absolutely right. The question will be in tyre compound. Sanson across team radio. He's run out of fuel, which would explain why he retired early on. Didn't feel he could make it back into the pits quick enough to start one final run. The field's still well and truly split on strategy. Those opting for the intermediate tyres with just over 10 seconds to go until the checkered flag waves. Of course, if you are on a lap, you are able to complete it. You cannot start a brand new one. Chesnoy Gaming making his way down towards the final few corners on this circuit. It's all important that he gets it right. Matt 212 goes fastest on a set of the intermediate tyres. A 1:38.649 makes it the Scuderia Ferrari 1 and 2, immediately taken away by Tukey, who goes for a 37.584 now, over a second quicker than Matt could lay down. Chesnoy's got an opportunity to go faster, goes second, couldn't quite topple Tukey at the moment. The Mercedes powered cars in 1 and 2, and Tukey still holding as we switch the screens there and confuse the absolute heck out of me. Riccio 3 makes his way into turn 14, 15 and 16 in another Mercedes powered car. That guy Vince goes fastest with a 1:37.346. The times are increasing. It's absolutely rapid out there. Can Ricky claim? Yes, he can. It's a 1:36.737. Lolly Nova looking to make the other Italian up at the top of the table. Can he try and do any better?
Middle sector, a couple of drivers didn't get round. Chappers on the soft didn't get round. Neither did Formula Kai. We suspected that might happen. Season 1 champion back to the front of the field, 36.2, but Lolanoba is flying, as is Meraki. Jorrit van Geffen, yes, the soft tyres, the compound you want to be on 35 flat, 1.2 seconds clear, but I think he's going to be bumped firstly by the Italian stallion. Lolanoba into the 33s, and then it is Kareem 7T still out on the Inters. I didn't realise that, 35.8, but this is Meraki still leading the championship. Just balls up into second place from commentary corner, just a clip by Tim and who's 100th down, but here comes Meraki, purple, and that is Meraki dipping his toes by some distance into the 32s.
Wow, what a qualifying we've just seen. Meraki at the final time of asking, purple in the first, purple in the second. Couldn't quite nip it in the third, but does still take the front row for our grid this afternoon. 7/10 clear of second place here this afternoon, and then followed by Lolly Nova. Timo Marduk, who starts on the second row alongside Jess Ball from commentary corner. Jora van Heffen rounds out the drivers that opted for the softer tyre. Gillen takes the top spot in the intermediate run with Matt 212, who's now newly engaged, starting in 7th place. Karim 70 from 8th. Safso, who was on pole for the barest of time, starts 9th with Fabio down in 10th. We've got Ricky 03, Datgo Vince, Tuki, Chesnoid Gaming, Concept 7, Chappers F1, Adam Sanson of Formula Kai, and Tom 97, who failed to set a lap time here this afternoon. And that is how your grid rounds out. We're going to throw it back to Carl.
Thank you very much, guys. Well, that was some qualifying session. Good grief. But I tell you what, fortune favours the brave and the bold, doesn't it, Tom Knight?
It absolutely does. And we said this when we predicted the rain was probably going to end before the end of the session. Who takes that gamble, especially at a venue like Las Vegas, where gambling is pretty much a second job? You have to take those risks, and those that did take it absolutely had it pay off for them.
Couldn't agree more with you, but also, just to put up in the air a massive well done and credit where credit is due to those who did stick it out on the intermediates, because it was a lot of them. Alex Gillen, Kareem 70 had great pace despite being on what was quite frankly the wrong tyre at the end, so fair play.
100%. Gillen's done really well there to get himself into P6, considering he did go and went very heavily onto that intermediate tyre strategy. The same with Kareem 70. I'm interested to know the thought process behind Meraki and Ben in particular. Ben maybe less so because he had so many issues. He might as well have just gone for it on the soft tyres at the end. If it didn't work out, would have been starting at the back. No big deals. But for Meraki, for the championship leader, it's a big risk to take, because if it did go wrong, he would have been starting way back. But former pole sitter, former winner, and pole sitter once again.
Brave calls can decide championships, and that's the championship leader on pole position. His rivals aren't that far behind, but it is a leg up in the art of psychological warfare. Well, gents, the big question for tonight. We're going to have to be a prediction, Prince. Who do you think, Tom Knight, is going to win this one tonight?
It's a really tough one, because I think a lot of it is going to depend on how the weather plays ball for our drivers, because we have got a set number of drivers that operate really well in the wet and some operate really well in the dry conditions. We saw that in Season 9 and Season 10 when the weather was just so interchangeable, and those that adapted quickest were the ones that kind of held on. Part of me wants to hold out here for a Top 97 last to first, because I think that'd be fantastic to see and completely possible over a full 100% race distance.
Couldn't agree more with you. Tom Wilkinson, what do you think?
It's a good call. I struggle to look past Kareem 70 as well, with the form he's in, especially, and the form that he's got at this circuit. Has never not won this Grand Prix, if you exclude sprint races from a couple of seasons ago. Alex Gillen, like we said earlier, strong around this venue as well. I think he did really well in that qualifying session. In tricky circumstances, a Sauber that is not good in wet weather conditions on the wrong compound of tyre, to be highest of everybody that stayed on the Inters, I think that could be quite ominous for a couple of people.
There you are. Those are their predictions. I'm going to predict that who is winning today is, and this will probably backfire very much for me, I'll say Formula Kai. Please don't let me down. Off to Las Vegas we go, though, of course, in race trim this time and not quali trim. Mixed conditions, we can throw that out of the way. Provisionally, according to my sources at least, it seems to be dry the whole way through, but don't quote me on that. If it does remain dry, of course, there are 3 primary overtaking spots as far as I can tell. You've got the run into turn 1, the run after those first 2 long detudinal corners into the right-hander, and then you've got, of course, the Las Vegas strip. But it's a question of when do you fight it and when do you not fight it, particularly following another car, because we've seen it many times, especially if people have been learning no racing line, that it can be very easy to just misjudge it, misjudge the overspeed, and maybe just brake a bit too late. So ramp up the chaos. It's going to be fun, gents, isn't it?
It absolutely is. And you were speaking about overtaking spots, the 3 main that you mentioned, Koval Lane, the Boulevard, and down Harmon Avenue. But you've also got to remember that sort of kinked run between turns 9 and turns 12, where it kind of flows a bit like a snake. So it will be Jake's favourite overtaking spot. But they're all heavy braking zones, to say the least. So there are the opportunities where you can send a car down the inside. And because the circuit is so narrow, with the barriers pretty much as close as you want to the racing surface, there is no opportunity to force a driver out wide anymore. You just have to send it and kind of hope that they play ball.
Absolutely, but then we can throw strategy out the window. I was going to say, oh, we'll just forget it. It doesn't matter. There's going to be safety cars tonight. But the point is, it means we get to see a late race charge. We've seen it many times. We saw it with We saw it with Ben in Season 9. We saw it with Alex Gillen a little bit at the end of Season 10. So we could see a late race charge as well. And then, Tom Wilkinson, any corner becomes a possibility.
100%. Could see the opposite as well. We tend to see if a driver makes the wrong strategy call or just gets out of the rhythm, things can snowball for them, especially in the early stages if they're starting on the harder tyres and they can't quite get the energy and the temperature working. We've seen that a lot in other races so far this season. So the first 5 laps are going to be a big scramble for track position, and we could have a bit of carnage later on as well, which I think we're all for.
I'm all for it, certainly. I hope you're all for it if you're watching. Make sure you put your predictions in the Twitch chat. We'll rattle through them, I have no doubt. But time to get racing. That's what we're here for. Viva Las Vegas. Let's hand it over to our commentary navigation. It's Tom and Tom.
Thank you very much. And Formation Lap, we have our favourite game of Destructo as we start to have the procession through the streets of Las Vegas and under the lights. And as we said, no rain expected, at least for the time being. We are going to have 50 laps of dry running, or at least for the opening few sectors, until we do see maybe some tears appear on the circuit from various drivers. But it is Meraki that starts from pole here, Tom. Are we expecting him to get a good start? He's opted for the softs, which are traditionally that better starting tyre. The traction that he'll gain through the first 4 corners, I think, could be beneficial to the nth degree.
Could be strong. If we remember back the last time we raced here in Season X, Tim McMurdoch started on the soft tyres. Yes, they went off quite quickly, but he got a lightning quick launch. I think he was starting around sort of 4th, 5th, 6th. Got up into the lead of the race within the first 5 or 6 laps, and then could control the pace for at least the majority of that first stint. So the soft tyres early on are going to be very strong. Only one driver fancying the white striped hard compound tyres, and unsurprisingly that is Formula Kai, starting way out of position, down in 18th after the blunder of not quite getting around in time. We saw it. He dived into the pits and he only had about 35 seconds to get through the pit lane, strap on a new set of boots and get out again. Whoa, was we got an Alpine facing the wrong way there. I'm trying to guess who that was. Probably Kareem 17 maybe, who's just been disqualified, deciding that he wanted to go backwards down the Las Vegas straight.
Absolutely right. We've got some predictions in the live chat. We see Concept for the win. We've got Ches top 10 finish. He starts down in the 14th place for this afternoon. We've got a couple of others. Tom 97 is doing 19th for first. Sharing in my prediction there this afternoon. We did have a few qualifying predictions as well that we didn't quite have time to run through. But someone did predict it would be Matt, Tom 97, Tim and Marduk as the top 3. And then Tim and Marduk, Matt and Hans Gillen as the top 3 in the race. So unless we're expecting Tom 97 to pull off an absolute miracle here, who knows what could happen. We ride on board with Safso, our Season 1 champion, as he lines up on the 5th row of the grid, starting from 9th place, just passing by one of the kicksabbers who's decided to try and drive the other way. That's Meraki, who is heading, down Harmon Avenue the wrong way here this afternoon. Not quite sure why he's gone for that, but everyone else starting to line up in their set grid positions, just awaiting Matt 212 as he pulls in to his grid box. But under the lights here in Las Vegas, 19 drivers are ready to go racing. Viva Las Vegas and Viva La Creator Series as we go racing. And it's a good pull away from Meraki from pole position. Lonnie Nova already in a battle with Timo Marduk, who looks to the outside. Jess Bull tries to stick a nose down the inside. That's going to allow the Alpine of Karim 70 to try and swaddle on through, as does the Mercedes of Joran van Geffen. Now trying to get a look in on Jess Bull as we head through the first few corners. And down we go, Koval Lane for the first time for 50 laps. Dankai Vince now managing to get another position up further forward. Gillen to the inside of Lonnie Nova as they're heading towards the first braking zone at turn number 5, and that is going to be a crucial position to get for Gillen here. He's got his arch nemesis who stands in front of him. He'll pass by the sphere on which his face is plastered this weekend. Karim 17 now also in a side-by-side battle with Lonnie Nova for 4th place on circuit, but Timo Marduk holding strong, as is Meraki from the lead.
Only leaking places, but you have to say, probably lucky to still be pointing in the right direction. Jess Bull just angling the nose of the Red Bull down the inside into turn number 1, catching the RB slightly off guard. And Lonnie was able to pick up the slide and continue, albeit losing places to Ben, Alex Gillen, and then getting pocketed there by Kareem 17. Flying start for Fabio as well in the Aston Martin, 10th up to 6th, making the most of his soft compound tyres. Medium tyres, I think it is actually, for the Aston Martin. Even more impressive. 3-way scrap here as Matt 2-on-2, holding off the assaults for Ricky 03 and Joran van Geffen, another driver that qualified inside the top 5, but has tumbled down a little bit on this opening lap. Tom 97 from the back of the grid, already holding 13th.
Absolutely fantastic drive so far from Tom 97. He dispatches Safso for 13th place. He'll have Jess Bull Just up the road, we watch Meraki come across the line to set the fastest lap, 7.5 tenths clear of Team Armada just behind. The 3 that are in the championship fight so far are 1, 2 and 3 on circuit. How often do you see a situation like that? And we're watching with Tom97, who now dispatches the Red Bull as he continues his charge further front the field. Concept 7 will be his next victim, I believe, as they head down Koval Lane for the second time in this race. Is going to be incredibly close all amongst our field as Concept 7 gets the better of Joran van Heffen, and Tom97 looks about it to the outside of turn number 5. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get the traction out of the corner. I think he does. The inside line tends itself as we make our way through the wiggle where the MSG sphere is located, and Matt Haskar looking rather planted in home territory.
Vintage Tom97 here, making up for lost time. Didn't qualify, elected to start from the back of the pack, and already nearly nestled inside the top 10 on the soft compound tyre. We've seen the benefit of that. Meraki, the big one out in front. Datka Vincent, Infratic, both making up places on the medium and the soft tyre, respectively. The two Williams going into combat. Jess Bull started from P4, and then the Haas in the wall. Have I just jinxed Bottle 97? I think I have. Tom97 face first with the barrier into turn 12. I wonder if he clattered the curb, or maybe was there a bit of contact in there?
We'll wait and see. I'm sure presenter will be able to tell us exactly what happened behind the scenes. Championship rival, says Alex Gillen in 1, 2 and 3. You couldn't write it. I can confirm the script has not been written for this afternoon. It was not on our producer's list of priorities to write up a script for today's race, but as it stands, we're letting it flow out rather naturally. Karim70 as well, also in with a fight. He knows he has an opportunity to have a good result, has done in previous Vegas races, and will be looking to try and make amends for quite possibly the poor opening to the season since removing that racing line. But Meraki still leads from Ben, from Alex. Karim is in 4th, Lolly Nova is in 5th, and Infratic rounds out your top 6 with that guy Vince just on his tail in 7th place. The train starting to take effect here in the Nevada desert.
Gillen had a nibble there out of the back of Tim at Alex Haas on the run up into turn number 5. Thought about it maybe down the inside, thinking better of it eventually though, but he's got to be careful because look who's just swooping around in his rear view mirrors. It's Karim70, winner of this race twice and picked up his one and only career series championship so far. Adam Sanson, Jorit, oh my god, I don't know what Jorit's done, but it's clearly not impressed Adam Sanson, not quite as impressive as his brand new Helen, which I think we have to say is doing very, very well.
It absolutely is, and whatever happened to Jorit has dropped all the way down to 17th place. You can remember he started up in 5th, was battling rather well from the opening and lights out, and has just fallen considerably down the order. Now finds himself amongst Jess and Chestnut Gaming for 16th and 18th respectively between the two of them. Tom97 really not doing well to try and keep him within the train, but the DRS now opens for the drivers just behind our race leader of Meraki. Of course, got that into pole point slightly earlier on in the session as well. If you can cast your mind back all of those 18 minutes ago, we watch on board Matt212, who is effectively the lead driver of the second train at the moment, over 2 seconds off the back of that guy Vince, with Ricky 03, Concept 7 in tow, and a little gap, 3.5 seconds or so, back to our Season 1 champion of SAFSO. So it is going to be interesting to see how all of our drivers progress. News on what happened between Jorit and Tom97. They were caught up in the same incident. Jorit centred on Tom97 and Barry R was in the way, unfortunately. Not an ideal situation. Jorit Van Geffen gets a 10-second penalty for speeding the pit lane. Gillen gets the move on Tim, and Martin tries to send it in towards turn 5 on his teammate, but unfortunately was almost certainly going to be a day late and $1 short here.
Outbraked himself ever so slightly there, almost clattered into the back of his teammate, locked the rear slightly as well, and just about kept it pointed on the straight and narrow. Ben, I thought he was going to send it back down the inside there into turn number 9 and just try and put Gillen back into his back pocket. At this stage, I don't think Ben will be too disheartened by that. The soft tyres will still be the faster compound here halfway through lap number 4. But Ben, as this stint progresses, you can bet your bottom dollar is going to be desperate to get back past his old sparring partner. But with Karim70, almost called in Formula Karim there, he can play spoiler with the 3 main championship contenders sat right in front of him.
Tell you what, our man with his ear to the ground has given us some key information. A couple of drivers running extremely low on fuel, as little as minus 2.5 laps or so. And as we can imagine, quite a few probably banking on a safety car, which do come, well, less than few and far between here in the Craze Series. Rather on time, and they run like German trains or so, I'm told, as they make their way through the final few corners down towards turn 17 to finish off the 4th lap of number 50. Ben now moves to the inside to try and get the move done. Back past Gillen, does so rather successfully, and he'll find himself back in 2nd place. He's playing the split game between the two Kickstabbers. He comes over the team radio. What inter-team games can I exploit here? Well, he's managed to exploit one of them already and moves back between the two.
Well, remember back to Brazil a few weeks ago, Alex Gillen in the Sauber, his teammate there was Razin Chai. There was a bit of a race and a bit of a bump and a grind into the pit lane, wasn't there? Both of them picking up damage and 10-second penalties, ruining any real chances of picking up decent results there. And Tim Mark, who was just in front of them as they tried to debate the same piece of pit lane entry tarmac, found it very, very amusing, didn't he? So I think he'll be hoping to try and, like you said, exploit that even more to his benefit. Cream 70 has just been holding firm in P4. It's really interesting because for the majority of the opening 4 laps, the top 4 in particular, following so closely. Those gaps were glued at around 2, 3, 4 tenths of a second. Things fanning out a little bit more just as the tyre wear and the tyre temperatures start to kick in a little bit. But Kareem 17 continuing to look very, very racy on those soft tyres despite a bit of a ropey run there through 12. And all of a sudden, very much on the back foot down the strip straight.
Yeah, absolutely is. Let's not forget as well, the only driver in the top 4 starting on the medium tyres was Tia Marduk, who sits in 2nd place at the moment. We've got Meraki, Gillen and Karim 70 all opting for the softer tyre, so both Saubers will be in a very similar situation pit strategy wise as Lolly Nova looks to exploit the Alpine as they make their way through turns 14, 15 and 16, still wheel to wheel they run. Lolly Nova I think could have caught Karim 70 somewhat napping, gets the move done before they get towards the final corner on this Las Vegas circuit, and Karim knocked down another peg, and I wonder if this is maybe the softer tyres starting to lose out in totality to those mediums which Lolly Nova is running and starting to progress through the field.
You've got to be so careful when you're scrapping through that chicane, the complex of 14, 15 and 16, because we saw there, Lolly dropped to over a second off the back of the leading trio. So if you're going to fight there and if you're going to debate places, you've got to make sure you don't lose touch to that group in front, because we know on this game the DRS is very, very powerful. Slipstream less so, but you do want to remain in that DRS train. And the first break is between the Aston Martin of Infratic and Matt 212, the lead Ferrari, in 7 and 8. About a second and a half separating them, but Matt 212 on the medium tyres, starting to close back up to this leading group as they debate positions.
Alex Gillen just running under himself over on the Las Vegas Fair. His moustache just giving him a bit of a nod and encouragement to make his way through. They are sitting nice and comfortably as Ben and Alex Gillen. They'll turn the corner to run back on towards the Las Vegas Boulevard, the Strip as it's more commonly known. And of course they are just going to sit in DRS, play the patient game, because 50 laps is a long time just to sit and wait and see what progresses. We are expecting at least probably one safety car in this race, because it is not unheard of for the Creator Series and the creators themselves to maybe cause a little bit of carnage. Think your mind back to the end of Season 10 where Hayden Gullis, how do we say this, had a bit of a brake failure and had the slowest collision that I've ever seen on the F1 25 game into wall and lost a tyre as a result of it. We see there Formula Kai to the inside of Chappers at the same set of corners. It is going to be that Chrome overtaking spot, and speaking of overtaking, Timo Marek, fed up of playing second fiddle for the time being, moves in towards the lead, and now it's going to be the Australian who stands amongst everybody else on top.
Never won here before, but for the second Las Vegas race in a row, finds himself in the lead within the first 10 laps of the Grand Prix. And you would imagine 7 laps in, those soft compound tyres will be slightly subpar, and the mediums, the specialist compound at this stage of this opening stint. Alex Gillen still there ahead of Lolland Ober and Kareem 17. And that mistake from Kareem a couple of laps go into 12, really just demonstrating how you can pay such a hefty price for such a tiny mistake, and for him in particular, not running the racing line, doesn't have his braking zones absolutely nailed down, not quite got the muscle memory that some of the other drivers have got. You're losing time all the way down that long straight into the braking zone of 14. It's about 20 seconds of time that you're going to be giving up to the drivers in front of you, and the ones behind, as we saw from Lolanoba, did not need that second invitation.
Yeah, this is where we start to get into that mental aspect, the strategy element of the race, because you have got to prioritise your exits out of these corners to make sure the runs down the straights are as perfect as they can be. As we mentioned last time we raced in Vegas, Ben was chasing to maintain his 100% win record in every season. Unfortunately for him, it didn't quite happen, as we do see Meraki, I think, just having a sniff down the inside of the Australian. Couldn't quite get the move done as Gillen almost loses the car, and I wonder if the rear right Maybe just tapped the barrier just a little bit and unsettled that Sauber, but he's now trying to chase down Meraki in towards turn 17. Lops for the outside line to try and get a little bit of more speed in towards its heavy braking zone of 1, 2, 3 and 4. Maybe goes for the up and under as Meraki tries to open the door. Can't quite do it on this occasion, but are we starting to see the Saubers battling now?
So you saw on board there, Gillen did not have a lot of battery left, so these guys aren't taking it easy. They are pushing in these early stages. Loninover just hanging back, getting out of the turbulent air. Alex Gillen's second chance, maybe? No, sits behind once again on the run down into turn number 5. Infratic getting 6th place, though, back off the hands of Dakar. Vince Medium for the Aston Martin, soft tyres for the RB. We're seeing the yellow stripe rubber coming to the fruition at this stage, and still Alex Gillen very sternly examining the rear geometry of that lead Sauber car, but again, just a little bit wobbly there through 7, 8 and 9, maybe just struggling with the back end of that kick Sauber.
You're absolutely right. I think the question will be, are we going to see maybe some begging team orders come across the radio? Lottie Nova, I think, was right on the rear of Gillen there. So they tried to make their way down towards the tight left-hander of turn 12, where we have seen mistakes made in the past. Concept 7, the 7th concept at least for the moment, as he runs his way just behind Matt 212, who is freshly engaged, we have been told. Put a ring on it eventually at the end or the start of this week. So congratulations to him and Last 212, as she is more commonly known in his streams. Gillen now sick of playing second fiddle to his teammate, gets the move done and up in towards second place, and will now try and mount a charge to Timo Mardik in front. But the important thing to note here, Tom, he's lost DRS over 1.4 seconds away from the Australian.
Yeah, kind of terrible run through 14, 15 and 16 and leaks another spot. Loninover, I don't think is satisfied yet though. Just had a little think about it down the inside into turn 1. Just seeing if he can maybe put Alex Gillen out of kilter and spook him into a bit of a mistake. But Alex Gillen, one of the sturdiest, isn't he, when it comes to racecraft, and does hold firm in second. Jake bumped down a couple of spots there and just struggling for pace. Tiamat Mardik is absolutely checked out in the lead of this. Infratic getting ahead of Kareem 17. These soft tyres look absolutely done at this stage.
They absolutely do. 35-40% wear is roughly what we're hearing in and amongst the drivers at the moment. The gap between Timo Mardik and Gillen continuing to rise lap after lap, and I wonder how much of that is because pressure being put on by Lolly Nobi. Yellow flags fly in the second sector. Sanderson's gone spinning around down at turn number 5, gets the Williams pointing the right direction, but unfortunately I do wonder if that is partially towards the soft tyres not playing ball as much as he would have liked. Doesn't look like there's any damage on that Williams racing car. They are 8 lap old mediums, soft tyres had them on since the start of this race, and I think that is going to be signs of things in the future for many of our drivers here.
Alarm bells will be ringing for Loninover here because he is at this stage in the same race as Tiamat Mardik. He does not want to have to go into it in a straight fight and try and pick up those 2 seconds to work himself back up to the rear end of that runaway Haas car out in front. Datkovitz has leaked another spot, dropping behind Matt 212, who's coming on really strongly on his set of the yellow stripe medium compound tyres. When are some of these soft runners going to bite the bullet? Loninover moving over to the left-hand side, trying to break the slipstream, but the 2 Saubers following in his footsteps, and Infratic looking to hotfoot it up into 4th place and push Meraki down. Yet another spot, the green machine dangling the nose down the inside into turn number 1, and it's not even a contest as his teammate getting ahead of Datkovitz, who has bitten the bullet and jumped into the pits. Fabio, qualified P10, is really running nicely at this stage.
Yeah, absolutely is. The tyres handing themselves to that Aston Martin at the moment. Got past Meraki. He's got Gillen well and truly within his sights. Just over 3.5 tenths, now 4 in the distance. Is that kick Sauber? I think he knows once he manages to dispatch Gillen. Lolly Nova's only a hop, skip and jump up the road. We'll keep you updated as to what tyres Vince goes on to. It is a new set of mediums for the V-Carb drive. We'll be watching the rear TV pod of Alex Gillen now, as you can keep an eye on him Infratic trying to chase him down, and the tyre offset is going to be the big talking point here. It's going to be the question of longevity and how long Gillen wants to try and take those soft tyres. Being the first driver out of the 2 teammates in that Kick Sauber partnership, he's effectively going to dictate the pit strategy here, because Meraki is going to have to do the inverse to whatever Gillen decides to do this time around.
And you wonder who's going to react to Datkovitz, because he's come out in a lovely bit of track space. A second ahead of Ches and Jess, who have been battling over 15th and 16th. Then 9 seconds until the next car that is a long, long way up the road. That is Chappers, who's just off the back of Formula Car. We've got a Ferrari pulling out Concept 7, just trying to cool the car. Matt 2-on-2 running nicely as well. Both Scarlet cars doing a very, very good job. And that Gavit's echoing something that we've been saying, really. The leaders were battling very, very hard. Tim and Marduk able to scamper off into the distance, and Vince does not want to get bogged down in that train. I think Meraki's jumping into the pits. Yes, championship leader reacting to the punch pulled by that guy Vince.
I think that's a very simple situation there for Meraki. He was waiting to see what Gillen decided to do and then went for the inverse solution, in which case Gillen wanted to stay out. Meraki this time around dives into pit road. What tyres are going on? It looks like hard tyres to see this Sauber out, and we'll try and go probably a considerable number of laps on those. He's not the only driver in the pit lane though. Riccio 3 and Chesnoid Gaming both diving in as we see the Kick Sauber ahead now of That Guy Vince. This is a very smart move from Meraki there. I think pulled the trigger at the absolute right time as Vince comes across the radio. I think I might trigger some pit stops with that one. You well and truly have not just 1, 2, but 3 pit stops as a result.
And they've got so much free real estate to work with as well. Interestingly, Datka Vince chucking on the medium tyres compared to the hards that Jake is running. So at this stage, Jake will probably want the RB to be the lead chariot in that little duel and try and drag him back up to the next group of cars and make the most of the undercut that is what they are going for. Alex Gillen just under the cosh a little bit here, 9/10 the gap between himself and Lolanova. The gap out in front has also stabilised at around 1.7, 1.8 seconds. And then off the back of that, chasing peloton behind Tim Marduk is this scrap, Safso. 6.8 seconds off the back of the Ferraris. Considering how much they've been scrapping, that is a big, big gap that has been dropped. Cream 17 loses a place to the charging Matt 2-1-2, those mediums. I think the drivers on the softs are going to be very, very jealous of the grip and the confidence and the rubber that is still on the rims of those yellow struck tyres.
They absolutely are, and we do see now Gillen diving in towards pit road. The other soft runner in that Kick Sauber team dives in, manages to get the car slowed down. We have to remember, of course, Yorick did pick up a 10-second penalty slightly earlier on for speeding in the pit lane. We watch on board with the secondary camera down in the bottom right-hand side of your screens, on board with Meraki trying to chase down in towards the final corner. We're almost certain the undercut is going to pay dividends here, but the question is going to be by how much. We watch on board that guy Vince breaks in towards the first corner. I think Gillen's overcut might have paid off here, and it has. He's held on to the position.
And he's nearly got out of 1 second to Vince behind. So Vince has got to get his skates on while Gillen goes through the warm-up phase. Safso losing a couple of places. Formula Kai started from P16 on a set of hard compound tyres. Now running nicely in position number 7. Has just quietly gone about his business to work his way through the slower car. Vince taking a lot of curb there through turn 5. That's going to leave him vulnerable with Meraki so close behind. And Alex Gillen trying to check out in front and leave these two in his wake. This is terrible news for Jake if he can't now get past this RB and back into the 1 second window of his teammate.
It's going to be incredibly close. Caution now for the drivers that are up at the front, because what does Ben do? Because of course he's on the medium tyres. Naturally he'll have to go longer, and with the driver since these back 3 now are starting to push in, I think they will overtake him, but the tyre offset is going to be the main talking point. 1 lap overcut, beautiful, says Alex Gillen. And I actually have to agree with Alex Gillen for once. He's managed to keep 1.5 seconds back to that guy Vince, and he's got a nice bit of clean air just in front of him up the road to Chappers, and he will try and benefit that during this warm-up phase, and then he can start to push the tyres like crazy as Meraki, his teammate, dispatches that guy Vince on the run down the boulevard once again.
That secondary chasing group has just split, and I was going to say, is Cream 17 going to get shot at his soft compound tyres? We're really struggling for pace, and Concept 7 actually dropped off the back of his teammate. So with Cream's attack from the leaders, now is definitely the time for him to get rid of those soft tyres. Hard compound going on, so we've got a 50-50 split in the drivers that are going for the undercut. 2 drivers on the mediums, 2 on the hards, but I think Kareem is going to be some way behind the drivers that he was fighting, courtesy of just staying out a little bit too long and maybe a little bit too aggressive there with a loud pedal coming out of the pit lane. 2 seconds, not an insurmountable gap, but it certainly isn't insignificant.
31 that I think he'd be hoping was, let's just say, considerably less by this time as he makes his way out of the pit lane. There's only 1 driver that remains on a set of the softer tyres. That's going to be Adam Sanderson, and especially as he had that spin earlier on, I can't imagine those tyres are in any good amount of health, because the rears would have been fired up from him having to get the car spun back around and pointing in the correct direction. So I wonder how long he's going to leave it to try and dive in towards the pits. He's down in 15th already. I think he knows that he's going to fall well and truly off the back of any help or aid that he might receive. Apparently we're being told his rear right is on 53%. Thank you, Carl, for the information behind the scenes. We see Matt 2-1-2 there just moving out, getting himself into Fabio's mirrors as they make their way towards the turn 14, 15, 16 complex. I think the question is going to be, are any of these drivers sat waiting for a safety car? And is that driver Adam Sanderson?
Well, you have to say, these drivers out in front looking very, very strong. The mediums working nicely, and they're giving the drivers confidence that the soft tyres after the first 3 or 4 laps did not afford, in particular to the 2 Saubers. Alex Gillen's managed to keep his teammate at arm's length, despite Jake using the DRS to blast back past Vinces. Look at that. Laurinova slightly wide through 3 and 4. That's going to give Infrati the opportunity with the helping hand of the rear wing flap. And I don't think the Italian Stallion is going to fight that one too hard. Infrati, really, really strong opening stint for the Aston Martin car. Now up into second with just Benjamin Daly sat in front of him.
Certainly is, and 1.6 seconds is the gap between the native Portuguese and the native Australian racing here at the moment in the Nevada desert. It is, of course, night time, and will be night time when we race there in approximately 7-8 hours or so, if memory serves me somewhat correctly. The team of Marduk looking to try and hold control at the moment as the paved streets continue to lead their way under the beautiful lights that shine down and under the metropolis that has been built out of pretty much nowhere. With Ben at the moment gambling that leading this race with a considerable margin is the way that he wants to go about this.
Doing a very good job, you have to say. Once he got up into the lead, did not look back and left the 2 Saubers to squabble amongst themselves. Vince's pace on those mediums is not great at this stage, with Lolly getting back past Infratic with the DRS on the run down into turn number 12. It's going to be interesting. You have to commend Fabio, it has to be said, because that Aston Martin, we know, not very good in a straight line. Very, very draggy, not very aerodynamically efficient. So with this long, long straight, you'd expect him to be so vulnerable on the run down into 14, 15 and 16, but he hasn't been losing places, he's been making places, which I think just shows the confidence and the pace that he's got in that Mercedes engine car. Vince, by the way, I said he was getting dropped a little bit by Jake. Well, he's used the DRS to his benefit and has now got back past the championship leader.
He certainly has indeed. I've noticed, of course, that gap is slowly starting to come down between both Laurinova and Fabio and our race leader of Team Erotica at the moment. Is bouncing and jittering up and down between that 1.5, 1.6 seconds. And I believe Ben maybe just doing some fuel saving, maybe just charging up the battery just in preparation for if he has to try and make a move at any point. We got Bloxy Racing coming into the Twitch chat, not only saying, I believe, their support for Ben, but claiming that Ben Daly is going to be a 3-time champion here in the Creator Series. He's still got a lot of work to do. Let's not count anybody out too soon.
Did, though, end his wind drought a couple of weeks ago in Brazil that stretched over 200 days and about 25 races, I think was the number. So a long time between drinks for the former 2-time champ. But if he can go from being on a big, big wind drought to being the first driver to pick up 3 Creator Series championships, I think he's going to be very, very satisfied with his work, especially if the man that he beats in that championship battle is his old foe, Alex Gillen.
You're absolutely right. Running on board with Maraki, we get the beautiful picture-in-picture camera to see the expression on his face, which, as per usual, is somewhat of both confusion and focus. I don't know how he manages it both at the same time. He is chasing down that guy Vince. They run down towards the final few corners, gets the move done with the assistance of DRS and a little bit of that ERS battery system. But he is running rather low on charged up energy and charged up battery. Comes into a heavy braking zone. Can he get the car stopped and turned in? Absolutely picturesque stuff for the Kick Sauber. And one final run down to end off lap 16 of 50 for the highlighted car with Alex Gillen just in front. Safso's past Chappers, who is diving in towards pit lane, getting off a set of mediums. So the first driver to get off a set of the mediums proper, if we exclude Joran van Geffen, who pitted for damage slightly earlier on in the session. Our first driver that choosing no more mediums as Ben comes over the team radio saying, I could go to lap 30, to be honest, which is an interesting call. That's over, well, just under double what we've completed in the race so far.
Oh, we find it hard to disagree there. Alex Gillen, that's a bit of a 50-50 send down the inside of Safso into turn number 5. Was tentative, wasn't quite sure about it, and that is going to allow Maraki to jump right back onto the tail of the reigning champion. And that gap, that buffer that Alex did have over his teammate, now eradicated as he's just caught that Williams at exactly the wrong time.
Has anyone thought that Gillen's head would work well as the Vegas Sphere? No, me neither. But somehow it's managed to end up there for our race here in the Creator Series this afternoon. Our penultimate round of the season safety car has been called out already. Who is that for? I've got a lot of questions to get a beautiful new replay of the new safety car stinger that comes across our screen. I can't figure out who that is actually for. We can't. I can't see anyone stopped, or at least no one's crashed out as of yet. Carl, I'm coming to you just quickly. If you're aware of anything that might have caused that.
Yoret's got
Not
no front
currently.
wing there.
I am looking around. Well, there's Yoret without a front wing.
There we go.
That might answer that question for you. Back to you.
Thank you. Yeah, that definitely explains that one. Jorik van Geffen, who of course had a little bit of damage and a scuffle slightly earlier on between himself and Tom 97, has had to make his way back into pit road. At least he can serve his 10-second penalty, as we have got the Ferrari mechanics opting to do their work in the start-finish straight once again here at Vegas.
Yeah, just jumping between pit road and the start-finish straight. Alex Gillen is going to fly through and maybe reassume the race lead. You can see Lolland over there. No, it's going to be P3 for the reigning champion as he bisects Lolly, and Infratic thought about it maybe. And Meraki trying the same on Fabio just behind, that he could just nab an extra position there. But Tim McMarlick still holds the lead of this race. His gap has been wiped out, but he was looking so comfortable, wasn't he, adding the lead of the race. The gap was being stable, hovering around 1.6, 1.7 seconds. We know that Ben traditionally is a very good front runner in the Creator Series as well, but he has now got his main two rivals back in the same sort of race as him. The tyres that he's chucked on are the hard tyres. Alex Gillen staying out on the medium, so that's going to be an interesting dynamic as well that we need to pay attention to as this race develops.
Well, Gillen's on the hards. He pitted off the soft slightly earlier on in the session, and Gillen comes across the radio. Perfect time for the medium runners. I don't know what Gillen's trying to get at here. We obviously are not expecting safety cars to come at any time, and it was, I think, just an unfortunate set of circumstances for Jorik van Geffen, because, of course, he was slightly offset compared to everybody else in the session, but he has gone in off a 13-lap old set of tyres. He's come out on a brand new set of softs, which is a very bold strategy for the native man from the Netherlands. He will opt to have a little bit of extra pace compared to the rest of the field surrounding him, because he's the only driver on a set of soft tyres at the moment. And of course, we are now expecting fuel to be able to be saved during the safety car period as we wait for everybody to catch back up. Sanderson's off his soft tyres finally. He's done 16 laps on them. And doesn't make it till the end on a set of mediums. And across the fun facts for the weekend, Jorik loves to play the flute for his friends, the modern-day Pied Piper.
Quite an expensive one as well, especially if you look at the damage that he causes, not just to people's ears, but to the Formula 1 cars that he ends up driving around. If you remember, 7 days ago in Suzuka, did quite a lot of damage to the Williams car that he was piloting then. I think he went through about 4 or 5 front wings over the course of that 53-lap race. So not going to be popular with, well, anybody in the Creator Series, whether that's with his flute playing or with his driving.
Well, there is maybe some translation to be had here, and I know Hayden's watching the streams. Obviously, Jorik used to be a race engineer for Hayden during his time in the Creator Series, and now Jorik is racing at least somewhat temporarily as a reservist. So are we reading too much into the correlation between the two here?
Well, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, does it?
It certainly doesn't. We're being told the safety car is somehow doing 180 miles an hour down the Las Vegas Boulevard, which is incredible speed to Bert Weiner. He must love it at this circuit, especially in the drive. I probably wouldn't want to be driving it in real life with the conditions that we saw in qualifying, where Behrman locked up the brakes and went skating, quite possibly the longest I've seen one of these safety cars go skating for an incredibly long amount of time. Certainly will be a much slower safety car should we see similar weather conditions IRL tomorrow morning as the race gets going in Las Vegas. But Timo Mardik still leads here from Lolly Nova from Gillen. Infratic still finds himself in 4th as he's made his way up from 10th place. But I'm just trying to figure out the best climbers so far. I think that's going to be Formula Kai, who started down in 18th place, now finds himself in 9th here, Tom.
I've got off his hard compound tires, but does obviously have a brand new set of mediums that you can exploit in this stint. Also chucking on the mediums was Matt 212, who has locked himself into a 2-stop strategy. Started on the mediums, bolted on the mediums again, so he's obviously hoping and praying and putting all of his money on the fact that there will be another safety car at some stage in this Vegas Grand Prix, and I don't find that particularly unlikely either. Jake saying congrats to Ben on winning by lap 17. I mean, talk about defeatist. No wonder he's only won one championship if he's got that kind of attitude.
Well, it was, 6 seasons ago, if memory serves me somewhat correctly, so Meraki needs to buck up his ideas if he wants to try and continue on and have any hope for the championship. I forgot I wrote that.
Just slithering his way there on the circuit, trying to get some temperature into the tyres. Absolutely classic, isn't it? What we do need to just make people aware of, if you remember back to Season X when we were here at Las Vegas, there was an interesting occurrence, let's say, with the safety car, where it said the safety car would come in, and then it didn't come in. Everybody backed off, blasted down to turn 1, realised the safety car was still out on the circuit, and caused absolute chaos. 10-second penalties being thrown around like they'd gone out of fashion. So let's just hold our breath here and there is a potential that might take place again.
We're hearing as well, Karim 17 nearly binned it into the wall as well under safety car. That was under safety car as well last time around, I believe, in Season 10. So there is still hope for our drivers to make their way through. We have got to keep an eye, because I remember last time trying to figure out what exactly had happened to that race restart, because everyone was going slowly, and I really couldn't figure it out until I think you so kindly pointed it out as we made our way through. But Joro van Deffen starting to make his way back up towards the pack, starting to climb up towards the train that is progressing through turns 6, 7, 8 and 9 past the Las Vegas Sphere that is still donned with the beautiful face of Alex Gillon, that beard in all its mighty glory shining down amongst our drivers.
100%. We said it earlier, I don't know who he's paid or how much money he's paid to get that kind of advertisement, but he's obviously done a very, very good job.
Absolutely is, and we've been told it did happen in Scott Taylor's race yesterday as well, the safety car issue here at Las Vegas, but we hope we've got everything crossed as our drivers make their way down the strip for the 19th time in this Grand Prix. We're on a board with Jess Ball, Fox, the Rig Development driver, commentator and presenter. Is there anything that Jess can't do? Truly, one of the outstanding women in our community that is pretty much capable of doing most of the jobs in amongst the broadcast, racing, commentator, presenting. She's the full package.
Didn't send a photo in, though, to put onto your fun fact sheet, so there's one thing that she hasn't been able to do. Now, let's just hold our breaths, everybody, because the safety car has been called in. Tim McMahon backing the pack up, and we're just going to see if that yellow dot disappears. It has pulled over to the left, so we could be positive about this.
We could be. We'll wait and see. It hasn't seen it disappear yet. That's my slightly worrying thing. Green flag flies over Vegas, at least temporarily. The yellow dot disappears, and we are underway at lap 20 of 50, and it's Timo Mardik that gets the almost perfect jump. Lolly Nova will try and charge down, as will Gillen and Infratic to our Grim 17, making early moves on Sapso, but Sapso's not satisfied quite yet as he tries to swing around the outside, hold on to 9th place. They're still wheel to wheel as they run down towards turn number 5 on this circuit. I think the Williams has an extra bit of straight line speed. Sapso holds the position, at least for the time being, and Karim will have to wait for another opportunity.
Not quite as terrible in a straight line as the Aston Martin is, but the Alpine certainly not the car that you'd want to take into a drag racing event, it has to be said. Formula Kai trying to hold on to place, batting away with Concept 7 in the second Ferrari car through the middle sector. Very awkward sequence of corners, clumsy sequence of corners, but I think Kai has managed to blunder his way through, and yes, has got himself up into 7th position. Watch for Kai on those medium tyres. Same with Matt 212. We saw how strong the mediums were in the early stages of the opening stint before the safety car came out. And after qualifying right down at the back of the pack, Kai's got himself in a really strong position here to pick up some good points.
He certainly does indeed. The medium tyres will give him that extra bit of traction through the corners, and of course most of the corners here at Vegas are ones that you want as much traction as you could possibly get. Lolly Nova going for a charge for the lead, gets the move past Timo Mardik on the first lap after the safety car restart, and that has caught the Australian a little bit napping. No DRS of course will be benefiting from yet, and they run down towards turn 14. He made the move and made it look rather easy, Timo Mardik, and now for the first time proper in this race has to play catch up.
And can get reacquainted with Alex Gillon, although they've done that a number of times over the years, it has to be said. Kai's actually dropped out of the 1 second window to the Ferrari's Matt 212, so just needs to keep his wits about him, because you don't want to drop out of the 1 second window. Yes, he has got the tyre advantage, but still, you don't want to make life even harder than it would be originally. And Lolly Nova looking to just put his foot down here, extending his legs out in front. 7/10 of a second was the margin as they came out of turn number 4. Then comes Ben, Alex Gillon, Infratic and Meraki. Then Matt 212 doing a very, very solid job in that Scarlet Ferrari car, holding down position number 6. Karim 17 down in 10th at the moment, was the real loser from that safety car, along with Datkovitz, who boxed to get off his medium tyres to get on a fresh set of boots, now down in P12.
Vince will have to try and overcome the struggles that he's had here. Of course, the earlier pit stop than most other drivers. He'll be trying to recoup the positions after most of the others were able to pit under the sanctuary and serenity of the safety car that came out just a couple of laps ago. But interesting to note in terms of fuel here, Ben is still under fueling. Lolly Nova has pretty much equalled out his fuel, can go till the end. We're watching on board with Matt 212 trying to chase down Meraki as they make their way down towards turn 14 for the 21st time in this Grand Prix. And Matt 212 just in the slipstream moves to the outside, maybe to try and cool the engine and cool the tyres just ever so slightly. We see a very similar thing. Tom 97 has got a redemption drive this afternoon He was doing rather well from race start, but of course had that earlier instant with Joran van Heffen, which put him further down the order than I think he would have liked to be.
So pitched into the barrier. Here comes Matt 212 challenging the championship leader. Might not be leading the championship come race end, because with Ben up in second and Gillen third, bumped down into sixth, and Matt 212 taking the opportunity as it presented itself to him on a silver platter. Now up inside the top 5, charging very, very nicely in the prancing horse, with Infratic now the driver sat just in front of him. Everybody moving all over the place, trying to keep the cars cool. And look at this, Formula Kai maybe on the move as well, just dangling the Alpine around the outside. Had a look and a think about it, and trying to enact even more pain onto Meraki's last 90 seconds or so, recharging the battery. That is unwise, because Formula Kai, if we know anything about the Alpine driver, if he sees an opportunity, he'll send it down the inside and through the clumsy middle sector. Saw an opportunity to try and nab 6th place off the hands of the championship leader, and now there's contact as Concept 7 getting in broad and getting involved in this skirmish as well.
Yeah, the safety car restart really opening up opportunities for all of our drivers to get involved with battles that weren't necessarily coming into fruition at the earlier stages of this race when the pack did start to separate. Van Geffen's got past Ricciardo 3 further down the order for 16th place. We keep riding on board with Formula Kai right on the rear of Concept 7. The long straight, the slipstream in the toe will certainly become and pay dividends here as the Alpine moves to the outside, and it will all go down towards braking zone as DRS for both cars is enabled. Down towards turn number 14, it's going to be who's braver on the brakes. Formula Kai gets past Concept 7. Later on the brakes, he will go round the outside of turn 14 and 16. I think the outside line once again paying dividends, but look in the background, Karim 7T having a massive wobble as he tried to get past the Williams of Safso at the same time.
Almost found himself perpendicular to the racing surface there, and the battle still not one and done, with Safso looming and lurking in the rear view mirrors of the Season 9 champion. But Karim has managed to get back through. We heard that he left his brake magic on effectively. He was at 70 brake bias, which is what caused the bad restart. Same for Dak Gavitz, although his poor restart coming from just a lack of pace and confidence on the white striped hard compound tyres. Chapa says thank you very much, and now Tom 97 is just going to put even more pain onto the head top of Dak Gavitz. Unlucky 13th, now bumped down to 14th.
Yeah, Tom 97 is driving like a man renewed at the moment. He's got this second opportunity, which I didn't think he felt like he would have oh so soon after the calamity of the race start that he has experienced here this afternoon. He gambled one way on trying to go for the ultra start of this race, and unfortunately fell down the order after his number didn't quite come up at the roulette wheel. But we are watching with Fabio, who's had a great start. I think it's gone almost somewhat unnoticed. He's got to 4th place and hasn't been able to really make any more impressions further forward. He's had Lonnie Nova and Tio Wade taking the limelight just in front of him, and Alex Gillen, who now slots into 3rd. Matt 212 though in the move and on the groove as he tries to have a look to the inside. I think will tend itself to turn 14. The question will be who's going to be brave on the brakes. Matt though, I think just backing off for the time being, playing the sensible game here, Tom.
Cannot believe I've just seen an Aston Martin win a race in a straight line. That is unbelievable. Meraki, by the way, got absolutely no battery left in his car and is just falling off the face of the planet down in P6. Mac 212 not finished with Infratic yet down the inside of the flat out final corner. Going to continue on the run down into turn number 1, but didn't fancy it. And a lock up from Infratic, maybe just giving him another opportunity to just duck and weave underneath the rear wing of the Aston Martin. But holding into P5 once again. Mac 212 looking feisty here though, is Matt in that Ferrari. Going very, very nicely, as of course is Fabio in front. Jake though is going to be enormously vulnerable with no battery left in that Sauber car.
Here comes Tom 97 though, flying with the fastest lap of the race so far on a hard set of tyres nonetheless. So he's on the hardest compound that you could possibly be on in this race, and somehow still managed to set a purple 1st and 3rd sector, a personal best in the second for the Haas outfit this afternoon. And I have a feeling he's only going to get quicker as he feels more confident within that cockpit of the car he's piloting here in the Nevada desert. We pass as we see Gillen in full flow in the background on that Las Vegas steer from the rear with Meraki's car. You can just see Formula Kai in the distance. Later on the brakes goes that Alpine, who must be feeling somewhat confident with the battery that they're able to burn. As you alluded to earlier, Meraki, who's gone a little bit hell for leather on that ERS system on the restart. You can see the ever-increasing gap up to Matt 212, and now has another opportunity to try and drag race against the Aston Martin that stands in front of him. Can the Ferrari, can the prancing horse do what horse racing does best? But unfortunately, doesn't seem to have the straight lines through. He'll have one more opportunity on this lap down Harman Avenue towards the start-finish line. And again, I don't think it's going to be enough.
Well, he didn't want it on the previous lap into turn number 1. Someone who does want position number 1 is Tiamat Marduk, who snatches it back off the hands of the Italian stallion, and the former 2-time champion back up into the lead of the race, ahead of Lolin Ober, Alex Gillen, Infratic and Mac 212, your leading quintet. Jake did not get DRS on the previous lap, so still 1.6 seconds off the back of the leading group, with Formula Kai looking very menacingly behind that Sauber car. And with the DRS on the run-up into turn number 5, I think that Alpine will absolutely ease past the championship leader, and does so on his 8-lap-old medium tyres. And that's another place lost for Jake. He was known in previous F1 games as a bit of a master of the Las Vegas circuit, but in recent times, in recent visits, hasn't quite had that same confidence and performance. Now down in P7, just starting to fall away from him this race as we reach half distance.
Absolutely right. It's interesting to know, I think Matt 212 had alluded to in the Twitch chat as well, running slightly higher wings than some of his other counterparts here this afternoon. So will be excellent in the corners, the likes as you run down through turn 11, turn 10 through 13, and especially during that opening complex of those 4 corners as you make your way on towards Koval Lane. But down these long straights, of which this Vegas circuit has numerous, could be somewhat of a sitting duck as his Ferrari counterpart Concept 7 dispatches our championship leader, and Lolly Noba retakes the race lead on lap 25 of 50. This is fantastic racing all up and down this grid, but I'll tell you who's had their ear to the ground up and down the grid as well, and can give you a little bit of the inside scoop. It's our man in the corner, it's Clipbook Carl. Carl, what have you got for us?
Thank you very much, TK. Matt 212 making the move on Infratic. Nicely done, Sunshine. Well, it's good to check in with you all. I'll try and keep it as brief as I possibly can, because there is a sensational development happening at this Las Vegas race. The top 5 all within DRS range. We have that guy Vince into the pit lane. Whether there was a bit of contact, I'm not sure. Either way, in goes the V car. Very interesting stuff. But regardless, at the moment, lap number 26, past the fulcrum point we go. It's Lolin Ober that currently leads. There are questions about Ben's fuel situation. At the moment, he is saving despite running at full pace. He might well be fine to the end. It's interesting fortunes for our championship contenders. Meraki not having the rub of the green in the lean green machine. That is the Kick Sauber on the oldest tyres of anybody in the field at the moment, and so it remains. And losing time hand over fist compared to his other 2 competitors. The championship leader staring down the barrel as Tiamat Marduk and Alex Gillen currently sit 2nd and 3rd respectively. So good fortunes for those 2 in their conquest for the championship chase. The championship leader has some work to do. It's been very interesting to see the different dynamics of the cars as we have gone about, particularly the advantage to the high straight line speed cars. Yes, Meraki has dropped a couple of positions, but it took an extremely long time for the likes of Formula Kai and the battling Concept 7, who looks to try and show the nose to the inside. Formula Kai not thrown off kilter though. It's been interesting to see, despite having no battery at all, Meraki able to keep those 2 behind for as long as he possibly could. Plenty of pickings, complete chaos, everything we expect from Las Vegas. At the moment though, we have Tiamat Marduk trying to chase down Lolin Ober. Those 2 have had the rub of the green, they've had Lady Luck on their side, but Alex Gillen is waiting in the wings. Many interesting things still to go, plenty of surprises to unfold. And well, I shan't delay any longer. It's back to commentary corner. TK, Tom Wilkinson, over to you guys.
Thank you very much. Carl, just before we actually lose you, I did want to ask you just one question. We're at lap 27, just over half race distance. Has your prediction for race winner changed in the slightest?
I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to keep faithful with my prediction. I think Kai on the medium tyres, he's clearly still got good pace. He's made his way back into DRS. And if there's anything we know Vegas for in the Creator Series, it is a late safety car. Yes, it was the championship finale the previous 2 years, but you just never know. I mean, well, you'd be hard-pressed not to say this man, TK. He's up to P11. He is absolutely soaring on through.
He absolutely is. And thank you very much, Carl, as always. And if there's one man you want to listen to who will maybe make a good prediction, it's certainly the man with his ears to the ground. Carl Piranic, everybody, giving us that insight that we most certainly need. Now, Tom Wilkinson, I'm staying with my prediction for Tom 97 to go from last to first, lights to flag here this afternoon, especially in that situation where he is starting to find some traction and find some ground. I'm going to come and bring the question to you here this afternoon. Are you going for a different race winner, or are you sticking to your guns from the pre-show?
I'm going to be stubborn and stick with Alex Gillen, although I haven't yet seen anything from Alex that screams race winner. He's looked fast. He's been able to keep himself inside the top 3 as Tom now trying to work one over on Safso through the final corner. Battle will continue into turn 1 and dancing around the outside of turn 1 goes the Haskell. Slightly too wide though, and a little bit unstable on the run through 2 and into 3 and 4 we go. Move not done yet, but this time Safso on the outside on the dirty part of the circuit, and Tom 97 will move up for the first time this evening over halfway through into the top 10. But I am going to stick with Alex Gillen. I'm definitely not going to change my mind to Maraki, whose pace, I don't know where it's gone. 1.5 seconds now off the back of Concept 7. In 4 of his first 5 races here at Vegas, finished on the podium and won 3 of them. Post that, he's finished 5th, 12th and 5th. And this time, not looking particularly good either.
No, he's not had the best races so far. Last time around, last lap, he was 7/10 slower than Concept 7, who runs the position ahead of him for the time being. So interesting to see how it looks. And championship as it stands, in the bottom right-hand side of your screen, Timo Marduk would inherit the championship lead from Maraki, who drops all the way to 3rd place. Alex Gillen would take up a 2nd place position on 133 points, but 139 going the way of Timo Marduk. Lottie Nova and Razin Chai, who is not here this afternoon, will hold on to 5th place by hook or by crook as we head in towards the final round in Abu Dhabi. And according to the calendar, the track is to be announced on race day. So for all I hope, we could be going to the Dubai Autodrome, everybody. I have been massively disappointed in my ear, as our producer has just told us we are indeed heading to the Yas Marina circuit. I was really hoping and praying that we were heading to Dubai Autodrome, but alas, will not be happening next week, so don't forget to tune in for the championship finale here on the EA Sports Creator Series channels. But we focus for the time being as the race develops here under the lights in Las Vegas. Concept 7 having the race of his life at the moment. Started down in 15th place, Tom, let's not forget that. And he's trying to challenge Formula Kai in 6th, who equally started down in 18th place.
The Ferraris generally just look really, really strong. Matt 212 had the confidence to really lean on that car. Clipper cars coming over the radio. What do you mean? Not the Dubai Autodrome. Anything but Yas Marina. I think everybody will agree to that. But yeah, both Scarlet cars running and riding very, very nicely. Tom 97 cruised up to the back of Maraki, but this could be Concept. Is he thinking about an audacious move there? Well, he was ducking, weaving all over the rear wing of Formula Kai on the run through the flat out 9, 10 and 11 and into 12, almost grazing the barrier on the right hand side. Glued to the rear of that Renault engine car. I think this could be an opportunity with the straight line speed the Scarlet car has got, maybe to challenge, although it looks like Formula Kai just has the legs at this stage.
That's Concept 7 last time around, 2/10 quicker than Formula Kai on circuit. At least he's looking to the inside, just reminding the Alpine he's in his mirrors. And I think it's going to be a question of when, not if, we do see the Ferrari try and pass on this Alpine. Tom 97 further back has made the move on what would be championship leader Maraki, at least as he was heading in towards this race in Las Vegas. Maraki falling faster than a lead balloon, I think, in Vegas. He drops down to 9th place now, which is a rather unfortunate situation, but Concept 7 still on the back. And one thing I didn't forget to do, whilst I was asking our fantastic presenting panel up here on the top of the show, let us know in the live chat who you think is going to take the race victory here this afternoon. Let us know whether you're watching on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, or some weird other platform called Twitter, or X as they want to try and call it now. Let us know in the live chat who you are here supporting, who you think is going to take race victories. Matt 212 continues to reel in Alex Gillen here for a podium position.
Now, something else that Carl has let us know is just a driving style tweak that a couple of drivers have been making. Tom 97 going through turn 12 on the run before you get to the strip straight, annihilating, using Carl's words, the curb on the inside. And that's gaining him a lot of time over the drivers that he's around, the likes of Maraki, Kareem, Concept 7 in front, being a lot more tentative, because if you do hit that curb wrong, it will spit you violently into the wall that protrudes out on the right-hand side. So good little note there from Khan. That's probably explaining a decent chunk of the performance that Tom 97 is able to extract compared to his rivals.
Absolutely right. I've seen the human Pokédex is coming to the Twitch chat, and it was too funny not to read out. Matt in the top 10 as he's going to go. Oh, this is Concept 7, his teammate, my apologies. Matt in the top 10 feels like that one polar bear in Texas meme. Incredibly harsh, but actually, you know what? I kind of understand the direction in which you're coming from. But the other Scuderia Ferrari still on the back of Formula Kai as we make our way through turn 17. I think the question for Concept 7 now is he's got to make this move done. Otherwise, he falls into this situation where he's going to be stuck behind another car, and the lead or the gap behind him is going to just start to close in on him.
Yeah, Tom 97 is going to be looking very menacing in the rearview mirrors of that Ferrari, and that is why he wants to get his skates on. Alex Gillen not with a particularly good run through 2 and 3. Map 2 on 2, if he gets an opportunity, will send it. Gillen very, very late on the brakes into turn number 5, almost runs into the side pod of a Haas of Tim Atlantic that sits in front of him. It's going to be really interesting to see how this dynamic just develops, really, because Concept 7, you're talking about it. Formula Kai's done 14 laps on his set of medium tyres. The same for Map 2 on 2, 4 and 6 at this stage. There will be a point where those tyres start to drop off. I don't think it's too far into the future now here with 20 laps of this Las Vegas Grand Prix to go. And with Tom 97 arriving quickly, just as we're talking about that, Concept 7 maybe has decided now is the time to bot, and he has put Formula Kai into his back pocket. We saw him try it a couple of laps ago, trying to find the smallest of gaps to fit a Ferrari Formula 1 car on the flat-out runs through 10, 11 and up towards 12. And that will bring Tom 97 into the fray. Formula Kai is going to fight this, though, with helping Ana DRS once again, side by side, eyeball to eyeball between the pair of them. And retaining the favour goes through Kai and back up into 6th position. That has definitely now brought Tom 97 back into this. And Jake, who at one stage was 2 seconds off the back of them, now back into contention, is just battling and scrapping really hard here, the championship leader.
Yeah, battling actually is what encourages these packs to start to form up, because they can't go as quick as the cars behind them when you're trying to go side by side through a numerous amount of corners in a row. And as you said, that's what's allowed Tom 97 now to close up to the back of Concept 7. But watch what we were talking about, the curves and the aggressiveness that Tom 97 taking, especially on that inside right, the short amount of track he's had to use compared to Concept 7 there. And this will be a fairly easy overtake for the Haas pilots as they make their way down towards turn number 5. But Tom 97, I think, certainly bringing in his league racing expertise and certainly proving that they are worth running here this afternoon. He'll have Formula Kai just in front of him, but I believe they race in the same tier in PSGL, if memory serves me correctly here, as they continue to run through.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Reacquainting themselves with one another in 6th and 7th at this stage. But you have to say, with the confidence and how easily Tom 97 can lean on that Haas car. Remember, it's not the most benign of machines, that Haas car. It does definitely bite if you get it wrong. So, doing a very, very commendable job up into 7th. Remember, didn't qualify, started from P19 and then got embroiled and got bumped into the wall by Jorik van Geffen in the opening lap. Chipped off half of his front wing, had to make an early stop. Has now managed to recover that and is very much in contention to win this race.
I have heard from some sources as well that they aren't the best of friends in PSGL at Tom 97 and Formula Kai, so I have a feeling this one could lead to fireworks. We see the leading few drivers just peeling their way through turns 14, 15 and 16 on towards Harman Avenue for lap 33 of 35, or to begin lap 33 or 50 should I say. This Tim and Mike still in the chase of Lolly Nova, both of them equal on tyres. Gillen on a 5-lap older set of harder tyres, so that would explain why he's just kind of happily just to sit in 3rd place at the moment. Matt 2 and 2 and Fratic as well, rounding out the top 5. But Formula Kai, Tom 97, all in DRS down within the top 10, down to Karim 7T. We've got a 10-car train essentially for the lead here. Can we appreciate that nobody has got a single penalty? The only driver on 2 warnings as it stands is Formula Kai, who stands in 6th, but no one at the moment has got a track limits penalty.
Doing a very, very good job. Not necessarily a circuit. He would tend to think that track limits might be a problem. And there is Tom 97 confirming what we've been speculating. Let's dance. Kai versus Tom, that could be box office. Maybe not quite as box office as Tim and Mark and Alex Gillen. I have to say, TK, I might have jinxed Tom 97 earlier in this race, but I think you've just done the same to the man that drove into Tom 97 as Jorik picks up the first corner-cutting penalty of the race on lap 33. You can see they're really right in the curve, but gets it ever so slightly wrong. And that is where the Haas car can really bite if you get it wrong, especially at that corner. And that's going to bring Concept very much back into the game.
Now, I've watched a little bit of Strictly Come Dancing. I think they call that one the Tango, but I might be mistaken somewhat slightly. If anyone is in chat, just let me know. Let me know what they call that one, because that was far too aggressive over the curb. It has worked for him so far. over 33 laps of racing, but it is one that not necessarily has paid off this time. He hasn't lost DRS quite yet because Formula Kai has dropped off the back of Fabio. Watches Matt 2-on-2 here trying to snipe up a move for Alex Gillen just in front. Of course, the medium tyres of 17 laps old as Gillen tries to go around the outside of Timo Martin. Maybe goes for the up and under, but may not expect Matt 2-on-2 to be there. And Matt goes tries to go squirreling through, but Alex Gillen just holding on that outside line, the tiger line for Alex Gillen at the moment. But he has lost time to Timo Martin. Matt 2-on-2 right on the case again of Alex Gillen as they come in towards the braking zone of turn number 5. Gillen takes the really narrow line on the right-hand side, but Matt just drops off the back. The battling is starting to get more and more tense as we approach 15 laps or so to go. Alex Gillen once again just getting in the mirrors of Timo Martin through past the sphere, and he watches himself go by. Gillen just biding his time, but he's got to try and strike at some point.
I don't want to rain on the Matt 2-on-2 parade, but I'm going to. If we don't have a safety car, he could be in a bit of trouble because remember, he's gone medium so far. So yes, the pace is really strong and he is holding 4th place, but if there's no safety car and we're green flag to the end, Matt 2-on-2 has to make another stop and everybody around him can go to the end of this race.
They absolutely can. It'll be a question on fuel and how much the tyres are holding on. We are expecting them to be able to do about 50 laps in theory. So if someone wants to pit right from race start, if you started down in 18th or 19th, you can in theory enter the pits right at the start of the race and wanted to go for an entire length or entire Grand Prix on one set of hard tyres. In theory it is possible. They'll be screaming towards the end, but it shows just how long the hard tyres can go here in Las Vegas. The track temperature is only 15 degrees. It is incredibly cold overnight in the desert, something that most people don't typically expect when we hear about deserts, but they do get rather frigid in the evenings. But Timo Martin will not be worrying about that too much at the moment. Matt 2-on-2 looks to the inside once again of Alex Gillen. He's got to make the medium tyres work whilst he has them at somewhat of an advantage. He's holding to the entirely left-hand side of the circuit as they run down Koval Lane down towards the MSG Sphere. I wonder what is surrounding that sort of attitude. Tom 97 comes across the team radio saying traction is letting me down now, which is something that we were to expect. He's done 18 laps on a set of the hard tyres, and I wonder if he's starting to experience some traction issues. Are our front runners, of course, all three at the front, Lolly Nova, Timo Martin and Alex Gillen, all of those on 18 laps or older hard tyres, and we have been told Kai's tagged the wall. The driver in P6 at the moment, which could explain why he might be running with a little bit more caution at the moment.
Interesting stuff. And I think as the yellow flag comes out, Jorrit is retired in the pits, but we've got a safety car. Has he retired in the pits or has he slammed it into the pit wall? And that is going to save the blushes of Matt 2-on-2, who's going to be absolutely delighted that he can get off those medium tyres. I think I just saw an Aston Martin go straight into the wall in the background at turn 12. I think Ricky O3 may have been slightly caught out by that because he's lost a load of places. And there is Ricky off into the pickets at turn 12 and hands 2 free spots to the Williams boys of Adam Sanderson and Safso, who now gets a drive-through for speeding under the safety car. So it's not all sunshine and roses. Alex Gillen! Alex Gillen's dropped it out of the final chicane. That is so un-Alex Gillen. He slammed into the Ferrari Concept and for the second week running has his front tyre ripped from the car in a very unfortunate circumstance. But Alex Gillen, that is a mistake that I don't think I've ever seen the reigning champion make, looping it lazily round through turn 16.
Can we also appreciate he's lost a load of positions, so Meraki, who wasn't going to have to double stack, now is because of how close he is to his teammate just in front. So Meraki has been screwed over by this as well, because he's going to have to wait for his teammate, I'm sure, to get a front wing replacement. No, he's managed to keep it just out of the barrier, but they haven't replaced it. The front left end plate almost certainly damaged on Gillen Sauber, but Meraki not held up as much as he could have been. Although paused there for a time being and then invented teleportation to exit pit road, but he does rejoin in 9th place, just one down from where he would have liked. Gillen over the team radio saying, sorry Concept, that's my bad. Well, I think there may be a few words exchanged between Ferrari and Sauber, of course sharing the same power unit. We are correct in saying that Gillen's wing didn't get changed, and Jorrit did indeed nerf it into the wall at the final corner.
This is massive for the championship, with Jake really struggling for pace down in 9th, Alex Gillen looping it around, and now with half a front wing still on that Sauber car, which doesn't have a lot of downforce in the first place. Gillen's got a choice to make here. Does he try and stick it out with no front wing or half a front wing, or does he box again and try and charge his way through the field in a Sauber that's pretty decent in a straight line, but that is a hell of a lot of overtaking to do in the final 15 laps. Matt 212 on a set of soft compound tyres, along with Formula Kai. That is going to be a fascinating dynamic because Ben and Infratic in front, I believe, are both on hard tyres, and then Lolanova's on the mediums. So we've got 3 tyres, 3 different compounds inside the top 4.
I'm really curious as to what you'd expect to run here. We've got, 14 laps realistically of racing to go. I'm trying to do some maths in my head here as to what the ideal sort of tyre length would. I mean, technically, it would be ideal to take the hards. The mediums or last. My question is going to be the softs, because you aren't going to really be able to take the softs to any way, shape or form. I mean, they've done 16 laps at a push, and that was from Sanderson, but we saw how much he was struggling in the opening stages of this race. Everybody else took them realistically 10, 11 laps at absolute most. So I think the softs, bolted on by both Matt 212 and Kai, could be a bit of a mistake here. The medium runner of Lottie Nova, I think, has made the perfect call, but the question will be again in longevity. Can those mediums hold on to the attack that Timo Mardik and Infratic, well, I think pretty substantially will send closer towards lap 45 towards 50.
It's going to be fascinating. The drivers in 4th and 5th are going to be the fastest to start off with. Then it's going to be the driver in the lead. He's still in the lead, of course, with Lolanova. And then it might even switch to the drivers on the hard tyres. The softs should get to the end. We saw in the first stint, albeit on heavy fuel, that after 4 or 5 laps they can be quite tricky to just try and keep under control, especially the rear tyres just struggling for rear grip in general as they start to wear. It's going to be a fascinating time. We're also hearing from Clipbook Carl that I said that it was Gillen that looped it round. That's certainly what it looked like. However, I think it's, if you remember back to Mexico a few weeks ago, there was a bit of an issue with the Delta involving Concept 7 and Razin Chai, where the Delta was different for both drives, and that meant that Razin, I think it was Razin, just clattered into the back of Concept. I believe that is what's happened again, and Matt 212's gone into the back of Alex Gillen, who's then looped it round out of 16.
Yeah, I think you're right. Just trying to put the power down, the tyres being of the age and degradation that we were expecting, unfortunately. Did not want to play as much ball as possible. Karim 17, you can just see him trying to warm the tyres up under the safety car conditions. We're still sitting at an air temperature of 13 degrees, so it is rather frigid out on the street circuit here this afternoon. It's certainly not one that you'd want to go out in maybe shorts and t-shirt in, but I'm sure with the engines behind them, our drivers are going to stay nice and toasty and hoping that their tyres can do the same. I've got some interesting news from behind the scenes, and I'll tell you what, we'll bring Clipper Carl in quickly if he wants to unmute, just to go through what exactly it is that he's telling us.
So it's a bit of an interesting development here, ladies and gentlemen, because I've been listening in to the conversations around the paddock, particularly with the safety car, which is in this lap. Tiamat Mardik has been debating whether he actually wants to overtake Lolly for the race win. Remember, with the averages, he wants the best possible car going into that championship finale, and if he finishes behind Lollanova, maybe they swap in average, and maybe that gives him the upper hand going into the final round.
Well, thank you very much, Lolly Nova has launched very early here in towards turn 17. Caught Timo Mardik somewhat napping. I thought we were going to have 2 or 3 wide further back. We do see Formula Kai on the rear of Matt 212. It's almost 2 wide between Gillen and Tom 97. This could be interesting. One of them technically has raced higher up in BSGL. Obviously, Gillen racing in F2 once in a while, but didn't have the best of results with. And now we watch Formula Kai right on the rear of the Scuderia Ferrari, the prancing horse. Late on the brakes goes the Alpine of Formula Kai round the outside of turn number 5. Can he try and maintain this situation? The softer tyres, of course, will pay dividends. Both the Ferrari and the Alpine are on the softer compound of tyre, and Formula Kai is wasting no time in getting involved in this scrap, and I wonder when he's going to try and chase down Infratic and his team radio from Timo Mardik. I'm really going to struggle in this restart. Well, struggle he has, because he's over 1 second behind Lolly Nova already, and we're only, 2/3 of the way through this opening lap.
Fortunately, he's got the buffer of Infratic behind, who I don't think it's going to let Formula Kai pass that easily, considering the history of those 2 drivers, but he might be defenceless because Kai rapid on that red stripe rubber and has cruised up to the back of the Aston Martin car. 2 slowest cars in a straight line, dueling over the final spot on the podium down the strip straight with 12 and a bit laps to go. Matt 212 still nibbling at the heels of the pair of them as well. We've got an Alpine further back at green 17, darting out of the slipstream. He picked up a 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flags. More kerfuffles as the safety car came in that has really cost Cream a chance of keeping up that 100% win ratio here at the Las Vegas circuit. Lost his 100% pole ratio and now losing the win streak as well, you would imagine. Will Kai think about it into turn one? The answer is very much yes. Darting to the inside. Fabia's going to try and hold it around the outside. Has he got the grip and the tyre temperature? No. The hard tyres not playing ball as you would expect realistically after just one lap since the safety car came in. And Formula Kai, that is easy pickings.
DRS enabled as well as we head on towards lap 39. Let's not forget the battle, or the, let's just say, controversial incidents that we saw between Fabio and Formula Kai last time we ran at Vegas, most notably down at turn 14, 15 and 16. I thought we were going to see a repeat of it that time around, but fortunately Kai has managed to make the move rather nice and smoothly this time, but 3 tenths back is still Fabio as they make their way through the complex where the sphere is located. 6, 7, 8 and 9 on lap 39 of 50. We've got 12 laps to go here in this Grand Prix. We watch on board with Formula Kai still on a softer compound tyre, trying to chase down Timo Mardik in towards that heavy braking zone, but we saw it all went wrong last time out in Vegas. But Kai now has an opportunity with the traction that he'll get as they run down the strip for this opportunity. The rear wing will fly open on that Alpine. Timo Mardik could be somewhat defenceless as the straight line speed of the Alpine comes into fruition. He picks the outside line. The Ferrari of Matt 212 tries to follow them through, as does Infratic. Kai gets the move done. He's up into second place. Timo Mardik holding on to third by the barest of margins when Fabio tries to defend from Matt 212. The softer tyres once again paying dividends. Not one, but two as Tom 97 flies on through.
It's not done there because he's now thinking about it down the inside into turn number 1, taking 4th place back off the hands of Matt 212. The Ferrari on the outside. The Haas has the high road and the Haas has 4th position now. Tom 97, if you thought he was going to be a favourite before this race started, definitely one of the favourites to win this now. Absolutely rapid and inside the top 4.
Absolutely stellar drive from Tom 97. At the moment down the inside comes for Karim 70. Out of absolutely nowhere. I don't think anyone was expecting the Alpine to stick a wheel in there, and little to the facts was Matt 212 as he saw a little reactionary move to try to move out of the way of the incoming Alpine. I think in this case the Nissan knew where it was because it knew where it wasn't in that situation for Karim 70. But Matt 212 standing unaffected at the moment. But we watched Tom 97 on the back of his Haas teammate of Timo Mardik still running in 3rd place, but has fallen quite considerably off the back of Formula Kai and Lolly Noba to the both degree. Both of them in front of them on softer tyres. Soft for Formula Kai, medium still for Lolly Noba. Tom 97 behind on a fresh set of mediums as well, and will get the DRS down towards turn 14, and a very easy move, I think, allowed there by Timo Mardik, who knows it is not his battle in this situation.
Very, very easy indeed for Tom 97. Lolanova leading still, 1.2 seconds. Formula Kai's blitzed sector 1 and sector 2, but hasn't quite got inside 1 second just yet, although I think he might do it on the next lap. The question is now, when will those soft tyres switch and the mediums be the faster compound? Tom 97 now with the fastest lap on those medium compound tyres, and he's going to be right at the ragged edge battling with one of his adversaries in Formula Kai as they've met a number of times in alternate F1 League Racing Series, and both of them not exactly come off on the right foot.
Certainly hasn't indeed. Just to note as well, Tom 97 half a second quicker than Kai that time around, a full second quicker than Lolly Noba on lap 40 as Joran van Heffen leaves the session after a slightly earlier and rather unfortunate DNF against the pit wall, and one that I don't think you'll want to remember is this race. Live standings on the screen once again. Timo Mardik drops a couple of points from what he could have benefited from, 135 to his name, but he still retains the championship lead. Meraki, after the downfall of Alex Gillen, holds on to second place by 6 points. Gillen will hold on to third for the time being. Lolly Noba and Razin Chai standing in the order 4th and 5th respectively. And we as well, usual standard here in the F1 Creator Series, no more intentional safety cars allowed as we reach the end of lap 40. We're on 41 of 50. 9.5 laps to go in this Grand Prix. My prediction, I think that was maybe somewhat of a joke right at the start of this show, that Tom 97 went from 19th to 1st, is looking more and more likely, Tom.
Well, I think we need to talk about Lolanova though, because if you look at that standings, He was only 16 points, I believe, off Tim Roddick, although it might have been 19. I can't quite remember the number. That means he's got a mathematical chance of still doing it. And if Ben, on these hard compound tyres, continues to leak places as Matt 212 flies around the outside of the final corner, will be contested by the former two-time champion to turn number 1. The soft tyres should still have enough grip compared to the hards. Tim Roddick getting his elbows out there as Matt 212 having to do the dog work on the inside now of 3 and 4, but Ben has managed to hang it out for the time being and just about repelled that assault. But this time Matt 212 with the advantage in the ascendancy with a straight line speed. He's got the inside into turn number 5, bails out of it. Unbelievably passive there from Matt, and that has given Kareem 17 the freest of free invitations to launch it around the outside and pocket pinch the Ferrari.
If there's someone you don't need to give a second invitation to, Kareem 17 is certainly that man. If he sees the smallest of gap, he will most certainly go for it and remind you why he is called a racing driver. He's now on the back of Timo Mardik, but of course, we cannot forget that he's got that 10-second penalty that'll be coming his way after the safe start shenanigans at the race start. And of course, looking at points and everything that is going to start to put itself into fruition, we have got the traditional 25 points available for a race win next week out in Abu Dhabi. But of course, there's a little bit of a twist, an M. Night Shyamalan twist. It is a sprint race weekend, an additional maximum of 8 points for a sprint race win. That could make or break the championship here, but the top 3 have separated their way away as Meraki now gets past Alex Gillen. That could be crucial points in the championship, not only for Meraki's charge, but also for Gillen's downfall as Chappers now tries to look around the outside as they make their way through turn 14, but has to settle for 10th place at the moment. But I wonder if that's going to worry on the mind of Alex Gillen as the Red Bull starting to get more and more racing. That guy Vince now goes for an attack of the sister Red Bull, as does the Williams of Adam Sanderson. They're swapping positions left, right and centre as we head in towards lap 43 of 50. Chappers losing not 1 but 2 positions there after initially trying to go for 9th place and Alex Gillen.
What does Gillen do here? You can see missing that left-hand end plate. The championship for the reigning champion might just be falling by the wayside here, especially with Lolinoba winning. If he does win this race, that'll be 2 wins in the last 3 for the Italian stallion, throwing himself very much into championship contention going into the finale with that sprint race. I mean, we've got 36 points, I believe, on offer in that final race. So Lolinoba, if he's in and around the sort of 15 to 20 point mark, definitely has an opportunity, albeit as an outsider.
I heard apparently Infratix was speaking to his chat saying his car's a bit of a boat here this afternoon in Vegas. Well, unfortunately no water for him to be able to sail his way to victory, but he will try and steer this ship in the correct direction until the end of this race, where the checkered flag does fly. But he's right on board with what will be the battle for the lead, essentially top 97 with DRS on the back of Formula Guy, who has just held on to DRS himself to Lolinoba, who leads this race. It's going to be a question of who's going to be braver of the brakes into turn 14. Tom 97 waits for the opportunity to present itself, and that's a very smart move indeed. Matt 212 is still on the rear of the other Haas car as well of Timo Mardik, but you can see the weaving happening in front as they run down Harman Avenue towards the start-finish straight. Any question of which way this race is going to go, Matt 212 is not quite sure which battle he wants to try and partake in, as Timo Mardik and Kareem 17 involved in their own little scrap here, and Chappers loses even more positions, both Tuki and Riccio 3 getting past him for 12th and 13th respectively.
Ben's just got to stay headstrong here. He knows that he's going to get a free spot from Kareem 17's 10-second penalty, and he knows that this should come back to him. Maybe it'll only be for the final couple of laps, but those soft tyres will be feeling second best, second hand, come the end of this race with Formula Kai and Matt 212, who continues to be very, very racy, tucked up underneath the rear wing of that Ferrari car. Tom 97 drifting his way into turn number 7. He knows as well, obviously mediums for Tom, soft tyres for Kai in front. He can afford to be a little bit more patient with this. Lolinoba's the guy that he has to think about being on exactly the same strategy, and this is beneficial for Ben as well. If he can cling onto the coattails of Kareem 17, that Alpine will drag him back towards the leading trio.
Absolutely can, and don't forget Timo Mardik in theory will be on the best set of tyres for this race end, the only driver in the top 6 to be bolting on a set of hard tyres at the last safety car stop. But Kareem 17 well and truly making an impression to try and retake that gap closer towards Tom 97, who in fact is still trying to battle for Formula Kai. But look at how much they're all trying to get out of the dirty air, cool the tyres, cool the engine down as much as he can. Drifting through the corner goes Formula Kai. Tom 97 taps the rear, and that is that. What's said is done, and Tom 97's hopes and dreams of winning this race are almost certainly out of the window. He gambled it all on red, and unfortunately that ball landed on black, so that will be his race run unless he has the drive of a lifetime in the final 6 laps of this Grand Prix, but for Tim Amarnik, it's well and truly opened up the situation. Formula Kai still somehow holds on to second place, but Tim Amarnik on the harder tyres, the best tyres for the longevity of this stint, has an opportunity of a lifetime.
Is there any damage for Kai and for Kareem as well? The two Alpines look like they got crunched a little bit. Chappers retires. Is that going to be a safety car? Yes, it is. So we are going to have a sprint to the finish. Lonanoba still leading from Kai, Ben and Matt. Kareem, if he does box, will get the opportunity to get rid of that 10-second penalty and concede a whole load of track position. He might even want to stay out on that one if he doesn't have any damage. That might be the better way to go. We'll have to wait and see. But Ben, right back into this. Tom 97, this guy every single time. I don't think you have to be a genius to know what he's talking about.
No, not in the slightest. That's a Schumacher running down the pit road sort of situation that we're seeing here at the moment.
Tearing the helmet off.
Exactly, you know the one. And everybody at home, I'm almost certain, can picture exactly what I'm talking about. I believe it was either back at Silverstone or Japan. I can never remember.
Was it Spa 99?
It was Spa, yes. That was 98, that was it. I always get it wrong. But yeah, apologies for that one. But everyone knows the situation we're talking about. Running down the pit lane will Tom 97 be right at the end of this race. But we are going to probably have a 3 or 4 lap sprint until the end. The key factor here, Tom, I think, is going to be keeping the tyres warm, because the mediums, the softs, are going to have not enough life left in them. But if Ben can keep those hard tyres fired up, that could be the difference between maybe a podium and maybe winning this race.
Well, do you remember back to last season where we had a late race safety car? The leaders stayed out and the drivers towards the back did elect to come into the pits for fresh soft compound tyres. Kai is definitely coming in. He's got half a front wing that he's going to have to replace. Is anybody going to follow suit? I don't believe so. Kareem 7T is in, but he's going to have to queue. Tom 97 in Meraki, yes, it's everyone towards the back that comes in. And the point I was going to make is quite important. The drivers that were on the soft tyres were able to work their way through very, very quickly. There's only 6 drivers that have stayed out, so whoever the leader is going to be, I think it's Kai who hasn't changed his front wing. He's going to be right on the scene with these leaders that are on ageing and cold tyres.
Yeah, Kai hasn't changed his front wing here. He's still got that damage, and it is going to be a set of soft tyres for Formula Kai. Mediums for Meraki, though, which is an interesting call, considering softs will almost certainly make it till the end. But of course, he did start on a set of the red walled Pirelli tyres. Let's go through the field very quickly, see what else everybody's pit onto. Softs for Vince, Sanderson, Tom 97, Chesnoy, Jespal, Tukey and Karim 70. All of those drivers opting for soft tyres. I think Safso has just benefited from the safety car and stayed out on 10-lap-old medium tyres. We probably will not have many laps under safety car here. The field is still somewhat bunched together.
100%. I've just watched back the Formula Kai clip and I can see why Tom 97 might be a little bit upset with what went on there. Just Kai missing his braking zone by an absolute mile, clattering into the back of Lolly, and then I don't think he realised Tom was there alongside him and just got that little bit of a squeeze into the wall, and that is where all 3 of them managed to trip over one another in that final chicane. Tom 97, Carl's just mentioned it, watch out for him because he has got absolutely nothing to lose, no championship to fight for, no reputation that he needs to try and keep intact. 11th place on brand new soft compound tyres. He might only have 3 laps to do his work, but those 3 laps could be absolutely wild for him. Alex Gillen in P5 was stuck between a rock and a hard place, wasn't he? Behind his teammate on the road. Meraki jumped into the pits. Alex, his hand was forced there, having to stay out with that front wing damage and struggling for a bit of pace and on the hard compound tyres. This is not exactly what Alex Gillen would have wanted.
You're absolutely right. I'll tell you what, as Carl has rightly pointed out, daylight is most certainly breaking over the Las Vegas circuit. I did see blue skies somewhat somewhere. I could have sworn this was a night race, at least for the majority of the Grand Prix, but daylight has been breaking. That's how many safety cars we've had over the course of this race so far. And as you mentioned, Tom's driving, I think, is one that certainly could be an interesting performance. I think we could see Verstappen 2021 vibes at the restart here, because he's going to be gunning for this. He's got nothing to lose, equally realistically nothing to gain other than a race win. So it could be a very aggressive drive for Tom 97, because he's got so much that he wants to try and hold on here as he makes his way through. Karim 70 just sniffing onto the back of Tukey, making sure that he remembers that he's there. Hopefully he remembers to turn off his brake magic this time, if we can remember back to the first safety car restart. He did forget to turn it off of 70%, which is why he had a bit of a horrendous restart. Jake again showing his typical expression of somehow confused and or focused as he just dives into port to have a bit of a drink to get himself ready to go racing again.
He's got a lot of work to do, hasn't he? P8 He's been afforded the opportunity on a brand new set of boots to try and make some inroads, but there's so much at stake here, isn't there? Lolinova trying to keep himself in championship contention. He will be the form horse going into that finale with 2 wins in the last 3. Tim Malik just trying to rack up the points as he's done so successfully in his previous championship battles. And Matt 2-on-2 fighting for a first podium in the Craig Series. Yes, he's won a sprint race before, but this is a completely different kettle of fish. And Fratic could still have an opportunity to win this race as well for the first time. Alex Gillen trying to keep himself in the championship fight as well. Riccio 3, the buffer, separating the top 5 and the new tyre runners.
Absolutely does. Just to allude to any intentional safety car rumours that I did see bouncing around in the live chat, I believe it was not intentional. It was Chapper's retirement that was caused by Ricky making contact with Tukey, which sent him into the path of Chappers. And unfortunately, the front right tyre made of, I believe, Lego by the look of it, and did rip rather rapidly off it. I wouldn't be surprised if the safety car has a late call in here as they do make their way up towards turn 17. It has been known to happen before. Note does pass pit entry, so we are going to be in at the start of, the start of lap 48. So 3 laps to go for racing when we do get going once again. No, it'll be 2 laps to go. My apologies. It'll be even less than that. So a 2-lap sprint to see this race out, Tom, and I think it's going to be a rather interesting one.
Will be. Stay tuned, folks. This could be exciting. The drivers on the new tyres have got less time to try and make their work count. And it gives the opportunity for the likes of Lolly, Tia McMahon, Matt 2-on-2, and Fratic and Alex Gillen to hold on, cling on to as many places as they possibly can. For everybody watching, first of all, leave your predictions. Who do you think is going to win this one? Lolly on the mediums, Ben on the hards, Matt 2-on-2 on the softs, and then the new tyre runners from Formula Kai downwards. Also, if you're on Twitch, make sure you drop a follow. That is very, very important. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and make sure you hit the like button as well. The race recap will be coming in a few days' time, of course, and there's always a good bit of fun to watch, isn't it?
It absolutely is. I was chuckling as we watched Alex Gillen shaking his head. It's his dad. Watched Alex Gillen just shaking his head over the Las Vegas Boulevard as he has replaced the Sphere for a very one-off edition of the MSG Sphere that surrounds our circuit at the moment. But almost certainly we will wave goodbye to Bernd Mailander at the end of this lap. It will be Lolinova that retakes control from Timo Mardik from Map 2-on-2. The front 3, all on 3 different compounds of tyres. It's mediums for Lolinova. It's going to be hard tyres for Timo Mardik and soft tyres for Map 2-1-2. Infratic and Gillen, who are 4th and 5th respectively, both of those on hard tyres. Riccio 3's on mediums, and then everybody else boxed for new tyres at the end of the last few laps. So they are on fresh rubber to see this 2-lap sprint to the end here in Vegas. We've got 2 runs down the Las Vegas Boulevard to go, 2 runs down Harmon Avenue, and 2 runs down Coble Lane. Let us know in the predictions down below who you think is going to take victory here. Will it be this man? Will it be the Italian stallion? Will it be the Aussie wonder? Let's go racing under the lights, or under the, daybreak here in Las Vegas, as we go green flag racing for the final time here. Lolinova launches through turn 17. Timo Mardik immediately on the chase, and look at that, Infratic right on the rear of Matt 2-on-2 in towards the first corner, looking for the outside line to carry him round. Gillen looks to the inside, but can't quite make the move this time around. Gets past Infratic though, who went incredibly wide in towards the first corner, but he has managed to hold on by the barest of margins. The Aston Martin, I think, will not be happy with his race start there as he goes incredibly deep. And look at this, Formula Kai trying to send a move to the inside, collects Alex Gillen, who manages to keep going, pinched into the wall by Riccio 3, and now both Salmers side by side as we make our way through 6, 7, 8 and 9. Meraki pushed farther off the circuit, there's damage further down.
Big damage for Alex Gillen. He's got half a front wing, the reigning champion. His championship charge might be fallen by the wayside as he's slammed into the wall again. It was Formula Kai once again, got his braking all wrong into a heavy braking zone and clattered into a number of cars. Wii Sports bowling style once again. It's allowed the leaders to chase off into the distance. Formula Kai into P5, then it's Meraki. Alex Gillen getting absolutely swamped. Same with the Aston Martin of Riccio 3, who went for a bit of a dance coming out of turn 12.
Absolutely did. The front three, front four actually have managed to pull away here. Formula Kai, who I think instigated most of that incident, has managed to hold on to 5th place. And he comes across the team radio to Alex Gillen saying that was a championship rival defence for you. Of course, both Sabres fighting for the championship here in season 11 at the moment. And we've got 1 lap of racing to go and a quartet of drivers that could possibly win this. It's Lonnie Nova that leads from Timo Marek. But look at the gaggle of cars further back as Gillen tries to get the better of Sanderson. And at the moment, Gillen is dropping places.
How many points will he score? Kareem 17 still there. Ricky 03's got damage as well. Timo Marek has spoken about how does he want to win this race? Does he want to try and make sure he gets a better car for the finale? But with Jake in P6 and Gillen tumbling down the order with significant damage, could this be an opportunity to take a huge bite out of the championship lead that the two Sabres did have coming into this?
You're absolutely right. The question's going to remain who wants to win this, because as we alluded to earlier, Ben I think does not want to win this. He doesn't want to head to Abu Dhabi to the Sauber. There's contact between himself and Lonnie Nova as the E-Carb in front gets oh so unstable, and that's allowed everybody else behind to try and gather in as we go for one final run down past the sphere, down towards turn number 12. We ride on board with Timo Marek, our race sitter who sits in 2nd place at the moment. Lonnie Nova still continues to lead, dive there by Fabio to the inside, and Matt 2-on-2 as the Ferrari and the Aston Martin come a cropper together once again. Formula Kai wants to try and get involved in this scrap, and Fabio out of absolutely nowhere wants to try and claim a podium here. A little bit of wheel hooking between Formula Kai and Matt 2-on-2 as they run down the strip for one final time towards turn 14. Galpi trying to look down the inside of the Aston Martin. Both of those go deep. Old rivals again at a similar point in the circuit, but up at the front, it will be Lonnie Nova, the Italian stallion. He started on the front row. He will finish this race in first. Lonnie Nova wins it in Vegas.
Fabio's dropped it out of the final corner, and Maraki's ended up on the podium, and Fabio, no, was looking so good battling for that final spot in the top 3, and he ends up finishing stone dead last.
What a finish. Fabio, who was in podium contention, allows Meraki to get a podium, and I'm almost certain that's going to bolster his championship defence here this afternoon in a round that he was almost certainly dead and buried in. He's managed to gain more points than most here.
We spoke about it for the last few weeks. Jake, vintage Meraki, would just be absolutely nowhere in the race and then just spawn into 3rd place. And that is exactly what's happened. He was 6th, I think, coming onto the last lap. Everything exploded in front of him. He said, it's happened again. It has happened again for Jake. And that means that Ben, he didn't want to win that race, but with Jake coming through so late, maybe those are 5 points that he's going to regret not taking.
You're absolutely right. Cleanest driver, should I say, heads to Alex Gillen. Most overtakes Formula Kai, as is driver of the day. Fastest lap for Tom 97 right at the final time of asking. And race winner, of course, Lonnie Nova. A bleeps out word, and that's crazy, says Meraki over the team radio. And your complete classification will be Lonnie Nova, Timo Marek, Meraki as your podium sitters. Formula Kai finishes 4th out of absolutely nowhere. Matt 2-on-2 in 5th with Vince in 6th. Tom 97 goes from last to 7th, which doesn't quite have a good ring to it. Karim 17, Adam Sanderson and Tuki 10 as your top 10. And then Chesnoid Gaming, Safso, Gillen, Jessica Ball, Ricky 03 and Enfratic as your classified drivers. Chappers, Concept 7 and Jorrit van Heffen as your full DNF list for this afternoon's racing. Back to you, Carl.
Thank you very much, guys. Wow. I'm sorry, I just had to detox for a second and figure out what on earth just happened. Well, I mean, I think there was 2 that held firm, 2 that were a cut above the rest, but my main point of conversation is Jake. How the hell has he done that, Tom?
I'm assuming you mean me, but I
Yes.
have absolutely no idea. It was, as Wilkinson said, just one of those races that he's done. He's maintained the status quo is probably the best way you can look at it. He's managed to hold on to the race as it's come to him, and then he's just taken advantage of that chaos right at the end, and it's paid dividends for him.
Tom Wilkinson, it's Lonnie Nova's 2nd win of this season. It's his 4th total podium of the season. He's, particularly in the second half of the season, he's hit a pretty rich vein of form, hasn't he?
If he didn't have a stinker in Brazil a couple of weeks ago where he was 16th, he would be right in the thick of this battle. That's probably ended his realistic title chances. Alex Gillen getting battered from pillar to post in the last 3 laps there after the carnage on the safety car restart. You mentioned it in our chat, how he got cleanest driver, I don't know, because he was just getting absolutely smashed all over the place, 10-pin bowling pinball style in those last few laps. But that's probably the only positive for Gillen to come out with 1 extra point. I think he was 13th in the end, so 4 points, I believe that is, for Alex Gillen's championship kitty. Not good news with Ben and Jake both on the podium.
Well, it's a tantalising prospect, isn't it, TK? We've got a potential here, probably like realistically we've got 2 big front runners in this championship now. We've got a chance for a 2-time champion, and we've got a chance potentially for our first ever 3-time champion. What a prospect that is.
It's absolutely crazy. And to consider that Gillen, I think, equalled the record last time out, or last season out, managed to make himself a 2-times champion, and then Ben could turn around immediately the season after and become a 3-time champion. It's pure cinema that you quite couldn't write.
Could not agree more with you. Well, I think it's time for some interviews. And let's start off with the Italian Stallion, shall we? For his 2nd race win of season number 11, Lolinoba. Welcome in. Congratulations, my friend. You held strong. It's your 2nd race win of the season. Viva Las Vegas. How are you feeling?
Buongiorno, guys. All good, all good, all good, all good. Today, I just get a beautiful win. I just get like 3-4 time dive bomb, but my car decided to stay on track. I don't know how. Thank you, Racing Bulls.
I was gonna say, watching you drive that Racing Bulls, it seemed like you had complete confidence in the car, probably all the way through, if I'm correct in saying. How did you feel inside that V-carb today?
Yeah, I just know, in the lobby, that I get the Racing Bulls and not the us. But anyway, I just feel really good. I like my straight line speed. I don't know how I was so much fast. Thank you, A, for not fixing the problem with the slipstream. But anyway, this race was really, really, really good.
Listen, if it played to your advantage, I wouldn't complain either. It's your 2nd win in the V-carb as well. Did it in Qatar as well. Clearly got some affinity in that car. But with that race win, you are, don't want to put words in the air, you are a very, very outside shout potentially for this championship. Is that going to play on your mind, or do you think, you know what, final round, I'm just going to have some fun out there?
Yeah, I need to be honest. I don't know if I can race in this last round. So I don't know. Maybe I can win the championship. Maybe. Hope Meraki go in the wall. Please, Meraki, sorry. Anyway, I don't know if I'm able to race. So I hope so. I want to win Abu Dhabi, but we need to see next week.
We will see next week indeed. Well, what a race. What a race. Lolinoba, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations. And,
Grazie.
well, ciao, ciao. All the best.
Ciao, ciao.
Brilliant. Lolinoba, ladies and gentlemen, our race winner for today. But the championship chaser, it's only a couple of points in it. Our P2 man today, P2 in the championship. So close to winning again at Vegas. Didn't happen today, but he's here with us now. It's a podium in Vegas. Ben, welcome in, my friend. Congratulations on the podium. Looked like you had to work quite hard for that one with the hard tyres, but talk us through it on your end.
Yeah, I mean, I set my car up for like long running stints, so really high tyre pressures, hard compound tyres, 2nd slowest car on the grids. You know, it was a recipe for disaster. Lolly got away from me, and I was just constantly under attack, man. It was so painful. Just like I would have no battery, and then the next person would arrive with a full battery, and I have to defend, use all my battery. It's just like rinse and repeat until I got down to about P5, and I finally was able to stop the rot a bit. But yeah, just a really frustrating race, to be honest. I got P2, but like I feel like it could have been so much more.
I completely understand that, but is there still some solace you can take that despite having, you know, the 2nd worst car on paper and probably on tarmac as well, having those elements and also the stuff that you went through during the race, can you take some solace in the fact that you still have gained to the championship lead today?
I have gained, yeah. Like it was good, and I felt like I didn't do anything wrong today, so I felt like a little bit hard done by to not be leading after today, to have Jake finish P3 right behind me at the end. I was like, oh man, what more do I need to do? I don't know if you saw, but I got rear-ended on the last lap by other people behind Shenanigans, so that cost me a shot at having a run for the win. So like extra gutted for that. So it's a P2, but it's probably like the worst I've ever felt for a P2 in my life. I'll be honest.
I was gonna ask actually, because I did tune in at one point, just as keeping my ear to the ground, and you were talking about averages. Did that switch when you saw both Gillen and Jake down in the pack? Did you think, actually, yes, I do want this race win, I do want those extra points on the table today?
Yeah, it would have been nice. It wasn't a guarantee. I knew that like my hearts would be hard to fire up, like kind of in Brazil. I knew I'd be a little bit slow off restarts. But I thought I took solace in the fact that like, okay, Alex is P5. He's a little bit further back than me in the championship, but Jake is the one that matters, and he's what, P9. There's no way he gets past like Gillen, for example. And then he came through somehow in his own Jake way and got the lead. So I was half playing it safe, half just like kind of content with what I had. And then, yeah, it's just the whole combination of things. It's just, it makes next week a little bit more difficult than I was hoping it would be.
Of course, speaking of that next week, I don't think I need to emphasize the magnitude of it particularly, but there is big potential for you to become our first 3-time champion in Creator Series at Abu Dhabi Sprint weekend. Do you think you could do it?
Yeah, I feel good. I feel comfortable. Today I felt really good with the car and the setup. And Abu Dhabi is a track I'm stronger at than Las Vegas, let's say. We got a sprint race. I feel like I'm really good at like coming through traffic. As long as I don't get taken out this year, then I think I should be able to maybe nab the championship lead off Jake in the sprints, and then in the main race, it's it's 1v1. It's me versus Jake, winner takes all. So from that perspective, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be awesome.
We are all looking forward to it. It's gonna be a phenomenal prospect. Ben, congratulations on the P2. I know you said it could have been so much more. Still gaining to the championship lead though. All to play for next week. Take care.
Thanks guys. See you next week.
Have a good night. Take care, mate. There you go. P2 on the road. P2 in the championship. And just to add to the poetry, 2 points off the championship lead. Speaking of which, let's bring him in now. Our P3 man on the road in Las Vegas. It's not Jessica Bull. It's Meraki. Here he is. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome, Jake. And first of all, I'm going to talk about the rest of your race later, but I just have to ask again. How the hell did you do that?
I don't know. I feel like I should get the lottery numbers at this point. The amount of times I just spawn on the podium. Because I genuinely, after that first safety car, I was nowhere. Absolutely nowhere in that race. Like I was on like 10% worse tires than everybody else, and then even once it kind of leveled out with that safety car again, like on lap 35 or something, again my pace just wasn't great. So we took the risk to box on that very late safety car, and I think ultimately that's kind of what paid off, really. So a few things happened in front of us as well, but yeah, it's just kind of staying out of trouble and picking my moves, and it worked again. So
you made it happen. You still maintain the championship lead as a result. More on that in a little bit, though. I was going to say, Vegas as a track, I thought it would be one of those where potentially it would sort of alleviate some of the bad effects of the kick Sauber, but it still seemed like a handful today. What was it like on your end?
Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of like very surprised at my pace in qualifying. I didn't think I would put it on pole. I think at the end as well, I kind of got lucky with just the timing of the soft tires and everything. So I was like going into the race thinking, hang on, we've actually got a decent bit of pace here. But then boxing onto the, or starting on the softs, I think ultimately that kind of just ended up ruining my race anyway. Because, yeah, we had to box early, then the safety car, and then everyone else who started on mediums could box for hards. And yeah, like, it just wasn't that fun to drive, but it is what it is. We've spawned on the podium, and I guess that's what it matters.
Absolutely. Does it give you confidence as well, despite having the slowest car, despite all the outcomes that could have happened in that race, that you still come away from this not only with a podium, but with a championship lead as well, and the bonus Inters point?
Yeah. I'm very, very surprised. I'm very, very surprised, because obviously I saw Ben in like pretty much the top 3 that entire race, while I was pretty much just molding away in P9, going nowhere. So yeah, to come away in P3 in the worst car, I can take a big positive from that. So I'm very happy.
Well, back to the big factor, magnitude of the situation going into next week. It's, for me personally, looks like a 2-horse race. 2 points separate you and Ben. He has a chance to be a 3-time champion. You have a chance to join the 2-time champions list at Abu Dhabi. Do you think you could do it?
Well, I didn't think I'd be able to get a podium today in this race, and we ended up getting one. So I don't want to say yes or no, really, because who knows? Who knows? Hopefully, though. Hopefully we can get the second one.
Well, anything is possible, as is the way it usually goes in this series. But
Yeah.
Jake, congratulations, mate. Honestly, I will
Thank
continue
you.
pondering how the hell you did that last lap, the
Me
rest
too.
of the night.
Me too.
Regardless, though, it's a podium. It's the championship lead.
Thanks.
And on to next week. Nice one, man.
Let's go. Thanks. Appreciate it, mate.
You're welcome. In a bit. There you go. That is our top three. Let's bring back in our commentary navigation, or just for now at least, Mr. Tom Wilkinson, the driver's standings. Like I say, oh, it's a tantalising prospect, isn't it?
2 points separating the top two. Then there's that big drop off. Gillen in 13th, 3 points plus the extra one. He will need to, I would say Gillen has to basically win the sprint race and then hope that Jake and Ben have absolute stinkers to give himself any chance going into that final race. Lolly's in with a shout, but he was like Ben, another one that does not benefit at all from what happened with Jake coming through on the last lap and all the carnage that came through. Vince as well was another one who didn't seem like he had a great race, but I think he was P5 or P6 over the line, so jumps up inside the top 5. Really strong season for himself as well. But those top two, I agree with you. I concur. I think it is going to be a battle between the two drivers that, of course, had quite a controversial end to their title battle in Season 4.
Yes, and perhaps that gives Meraki the upper hand psychologically, knowing he did win out that first duel, and now he's got to do it. Well, it's so nice the first time, might just do it twice. Let's bring back in Tom Knight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's bring all three of us back onto your screens. Here we all are. And, well, TK, goodness me, like I say, it looks like a two-horse race, but, well, who knows? I mean, it's such a weird, like, pendulum effect with the championship, because maybe there's a small chance, not to play devil's advocate, maybe there's a small chance that Jake and Ben are so focused on each other that in the end it could actually be a hindrance to them. Maybe someone like Alex Gillen or Lolin Ober can sweep in at the very last. It's such an interesting dynamic going into next week.
Absolutely is, and it's one of those situations where I want to take it back to the laws of physics, where every action has an equal and opposite reaction, because you have these situations where if one driver makes a move, the other two drivers are somewhat affected, sometimes positively, sometimes negatively, but we've got this three-way fight that no matter what happens, something's going to happen.
And Tom Wilkinson, I mean, we heard from both drivers in the interview room, but Ben, two very different approaches to the same question. I mean, it was Ben seems to have complete confidence in himself. He's done this before. He's done it twice before as well, winning the two championships. Once on F1 23, once on F1 24. Could be 3 consecutive game cycles in a row that he wins that. And Meraki has a chance to be a 2-time champion, a little bit more reserved in his approach. So, well, it's interesting just to see the different psychological dynamics, isn't it?
I think Jake is quite realistic, knowing that even though he qualified on pole, he hasn't quite had the pace in the last few races to really challenge. I think Ben has been just a step quicker than Jake in the last few weeks. So luck has also been on Jake's side a couple of times in the last few weeks as well. So I think he'll be very aware of that. But all it takes is for him to turn up in Abu Dhabi, be on it like we know he can be, and then Ben's basically just got to beat him in a straight fight.
Absolutely. Well, gents, what a Las Vegas spectacle it has been. I think we can all agree, once again, did not disappoint. Not an ounce. But the big question, first of all, TK, who was your driver of the day today?
Oh, that's a very tough question. I think something that you can't really answer with one. I want to say Tom 97 because he had quite possibly the race of his life if it wasn't for that contact right at the end. Equally, you know, you could give it to Lolly Nober for a fantastic drive from second place to the win. I'm going to give it to Tom. I think it was a fantastic drive, and then through circumstances that weren't necessarily in his control, had the race kind of ended for him.
Tom Wilkinson, who do you place on the pedestal of driver of the day today?
Formula Kai? Maybe if you're Italian, you would fancy that one. I think it's so difficult. I think Lolly was so composed and so controlled out in front. Yes, it's a bit of a cop-out to give it to the race winner. I think he probably deserves it on the balance of things. Looking further down, I think Vince scrapped really, really hard. And Mad 2-on-2 as well. Yes, he was in a Ferrari that's suited to this kind of circuit, maybe not in real life, but on the game it certainly is. And for the majority of that race, I think up until the final chicane, he was battling for that spot on the podium. Fabio in that crusade as well.
Absolutely. No, I couldn't agree more with you. Good suggestions, gents. Well, First of all, a massive thank you to every single one of you that's watching, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's on a YouTube or another social media on an internet. We appreciate you. We see you. The support has been absolutely immense tonight. So huge thank you. Or if you're watching this as a rerun, happy Christmas. It's great to see you. Hope you're enjoying the festivities. Before we all close off, before we all wrap up this Las Vegas sensational spectacle, there is one final big question that we need to answer. We have two drivers with the biggest potential of all to make history in Creator Series at the end of this season, and what a season it has been. But starting with you, Tom Wilkinson, we'll go in reverse order. Drivers champion, who do you think is going to take it?
Alex Gillen. You know, when you just get the 2007 Kimi Raikkonen backdoor championship vibes, I can just feel Gillen's going to go into that race with absolutely nothing to lose. And I think that's the best version of Alex Gillen. So if Ben and Jake just get a little bit entangled, we're going to have lots of other factors as well. I'll be brave. I'll be bold. I'm going to say Alex Gillen's going to steam through the back door. He's going to get out of the last chance saloon and win it.
Commonly, fortune does favour it. I like the suggestion. TK, who's your money on?
My reasoning's actually very similar to Tom, but I think it's actually going to be in the other direction. I think Ben's going to win it. And I also think we're going to have a is that Glock going slow moment. Maybe not in that sort of discretion, but a spin or an accident or something on that final lap of Abu Dhabi that is going to cause fireworks to fly.
Very interesting. I'll tell you who I'm putting at the top of the championship throne. I think it might be a 3-time champion. I think it might be Tiamat Marduk. But that is all predictions. We'll find out the proper answer next week. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for being here, for watching this broadcast of the penultimate round of Season 11 of the Las Vegas Grand Prix. What a race it's been. What a show it's been. We've had it all today. Let's put it that way. We've had wet qualifying. We had a race that even went on so long that it turned into morning. And that was quite something. But it's been an absolute pleasure to be your presenter today, and even more so a pleasure to have this wonderful commentary team alongside me of Tom Knight and Tom Wilkinson, commonly absolutely acing it, as they always do in the Creator Series commentary box. But you're probably asking, where on earth do I find them? TK, where can we find you on an internet?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not in the northernmost reaches of the North Pole today, but you can find me on the internet at They Call Me TK on pretty much every single social media.
Absolute shambles, honestly. I was going to get a sleigh straight over there. Tom Wilkinson, where can we find you on an internet?
Not in the North Pole either, even though it feels quite a lot like it in the UK at the moment. Wilco.com was Wilco.darts on Instagram and TikTok, and you'll also find me in the chat of Alex Gillen's Clipbook stream on Monday evening.
Fantastic stuff. Brilliant. Go follow them. Get yourselves over there right now, ladies and gentlemen. As for me, you won't find me in the Vatican. You won't find me there. But you will find me with this name below. If you type it as I have a pretty distinctive name. If you type it, you will probably find me there. You will also find Creator Series up there. They've got a bunch of social medias that you should go and follow, depending on what platform you're on, of course. Go to the other platforms. Follow us. Follow all of the action, particularly with this cutthroat championship conclusion that we're heading into next week. Also, a quick word, because I know smashed it out of the park. Whew. Well, there we go. Twilight descends on the penultimate round of season number 11. And all that remains to say is, 1, Viva Las Vegas, and 2, this championship fight is going to go all the way to the wire. From myself, from Tom Knight and Tom Wilkinson, thanks for watching, take care of yourselves, and good night.